everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Welcome to the Nubian Money Club first official training. Woo! For everybody coming in, I want to know who's in here so far. It looks like we have about 20 people who have signed up. I'm so excited that you all have signed up. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am a producer and also the producer of the Fly Nubian Money podcast. So likely if you found out about the podcast and you're here, welcome. And if you are just coming in, we appreciate it. So I started the Money Club as a way. Well, actually, I co-started it with Dr. Boyce Watkins, um, but I started it because I wanted to create a way for us to have community around money, women and men. Also, I wanted to just find top experts around the world that could help us level up in 2025. And so I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited that you all are here. I'm excited about our first training with none other than Laura Lalaki. Now, if you know and you watch Fly Nubian Money, you know that she is one of our lead hosts, probably our she keeps us she keeps the ship running, right? She is our wonderful host. But I wanted to welcome her, uh, Laura Lalaki,
I'm so excited
international
to
real
be
estate
here.
agent.
Yes. I get so excited when I get to teach and have
Yes,
fun. Because that's what it's all about. Is
yes,
you're not supposed to keep information to yourself. You're supposed to turn around and
yes.
help someone else out, right?
I agree.
So
I agree. I think
I'm
that now all we know, right? We know that what the things that we know, and it's so funny that I love the to share. Like I love, like you're saying, I love to share information because you're thinking like everybody knows this information, but really people do not. You spend all these years working and you think like this information not is not valuable, but it becomes second nature to you. So you don't know that people don't know. So it's such a blessing for us to have you here. So Lala, tell me a little bit about, how you got into your real estate journey and what happened.
Well, it's really interesting because in 2001, my husband and I went to purchase our new home. I was not in real estate yet. So we went to classes, we did everything. We did our little research. This was in Denver, Colorado. That was where our first home was. And we just went with whoever someone suggested us to go with as an agent, and we used their lender. And that agent was absolutely horrendous. We did everything by ourselves. We found our own house. We figured it all out. He showed up to write the contracts, didn't help us negotiate, didn't help us do anything, showed up at closing in a sweatsuit. And after it was over, my husband and I felt so let down. Well, I still wasn't in real estate, but I just complained about it. Then a few years later, I lost my last secretarial job. And I said, no more of this. I'm tired of being downsized and let go of. And so I need to get into real estate. And my father-in-law was really big in New York City with real estate. And he said, are you ready for this? And I was like, I don't know, Dad. And that's how I got into it. And what I determined was I was not going to be the agent that was my agent. I was going to do everything different.
Yeah. So, how did you get into the international, right? Because and I'm sure you were wonderful at that, right? I think I've heard you say like you found the spots that other realtors didn't, the places that other realtors didn't want to go, foreclosure, and those other places, just making yourself, just standing out in the market. So, like, you got into that, and tell us a little bit about that and how you got into international real estate.
Well, when I first got into real estate in 2006, that's when the market crashed. And everybody was like, oh, you picked the wrong time to get in real estate. Don't worry, this ain't going to be a big deal. And it was a big deal. So all the agents who were established and used to just putting a sign in the yard and making money like that didn't bother to learn the short sales, the HUDs, the foreclosures. And I knew nothing. So therefore, I had a clean slate. So that's what I learned, and that's how I built my own business. At that time, all I had was this little tiny pink camera. We didn't even have the smartphones. And I would go out to HUDs, take more pictures, put them on Craigslist, y'all. Craigslist. If
Mm.
y'all know, I'm taking y'all way back. And that's
Mm.
where I got my first clients. From there, I also had a very good friend that I went to real estate school with who didn't want to sell. So she got into nonprofit. So she brought me in to teach. So then
Mm-hmm.
I started to teach these first time home buyers classes. We
Yeah.
moved to Los Angeles, California, got my license there. Then my husband and I we like to travel because we sing, but we're
Mm-hmm.
also musicians. And we came to Portugal in 2002. I fell in love with it.
Oh.
I tried my best to see properties, but it's a different ball game over here.
Hmm.
I'm in the business and I couldn't even see a lot of houses. But when we came to Nazaré to visit, I fell in love with this one little company and he fell in love with me and we partnered up. And that's how I got into international real estate because he was like, I need someone to help me with the American market or speaks English. Although he speaks English, it's still a little different
It's
language
different.
barrier.
Yeah. And
So
people
that's
don't
how I
aren't
got
so
to it.
trusting. And people
Oh,
aren't trusting. I mean, let's be honest. Like somebody's like, "Oh yeah, you can come here." We're not always open to that. Like, is this a scam? So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, adding
yeah.
that
And it is.
legitimacy.
There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot that is, and that's why I'm really excited about breaking and tapping into that for you guys to know.
Wonderful. So tell us what we will basically what you will go through today. I know that and I actually want to know from the people in the chat, the people that are here. There's 30 people in here. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm gonna keep saying that this is our very first training. We created the Fly Nubian Money Club to help you level up in 2025. People are scared, Lala, about
Oh,
their what's happening next. So I know that I've been hearing a lot of people buzzing, like, I'm moving out of America. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Let me help. Let me be the one to bring an expert in to help you do that if that's what you want to do. So, people in here who have registered and register for the Fly Nubian Money Club, we appreciate you. I can't wait to help you. I'm going to bring in fantastic queens and kings who will help us take it to the next level. So tell me, Lala, today, what will we learn? Tell me what we'll learn.
well, we're going to set the basics with American real estate because you need to understand the basics of real estate and what goes along with that. And when I say the basics, I mean we're going to go through the whole workflow of what
Mm,
happens during a deal so that you won't be shocked, that you won't be upset, you won't hit that roller coaster of emotions like I did when I didn't have a good agent. And then we're going to go through that. Once we go through that, I've kind of set the stage with that for us to walk into international real estate. What's a little different? What can you expect? Where
mm.
you can possibly look? Emotions, all sorts of things, because it's not like USA, but yet it's still based on the same principles.
Josephine, hey Josephine said the housing market, because it's about to be dry. A lot of people do feel like that, especially with this new administration coming in. Thank you for those thoughts, Josephine. Um, is it about to be dry? I think that I beg to differ. I think that in every situation, and I know I want to know how you all feel about this in the chat. In every situation, I feel like there's an opportunity. In the Great Depression, it made a lot of millionaires, y'all. So I think it's all about mindset. What do you think about that, Lala? Is there going to be an opportunity, especially with this administration, of valuing money, economics, right? Is that where we find the loopholes? I would think. What do you think
Oh,
about
yes,
that?
there are plenty ways. How do y'all think they got where they got? Many,
Mm,
many, many loopholes, and especially Trump, because Trump had a lot of things that went on in real estate. And even though I'm not happy with who he's going to put in the HUD department, because I don't feel like they know anything at all, it
no.
doesn't mean that we don't have opportunity. You
Yeah.
see, right now, corporations have a lot of power, and a lot of corporations are buying a lot of homes. You're seeing communities being built now, like new subdivisions that corporations own. They ain't selling them to you,
Mm,
but they are renting them to you. Hey, what's wrong with you getting an LLC?
that's
What's wrong
right.
with you creating your loophole to buy a home? Don't see this as something that's going to hold you back. When they go high, we go higher, baby. We get
That's
smart.
right.
We get smarter and we know how to use the same things that they use
Yes.
to benefit us.
Yes. You all. So step one, when you come into this club, we're just going to change the mindset. I know that a lot of things in the world tell us that we cannot do, we cannot be. There are all of these barriers, and there are. But like we're saying, we feel like there are ways around it. There's ways around everything. You know what I noticed, even, when you're looking at corporations, they're like, okay, we can't do this. We can't hire this kind of people. All right, well, how can we get around that? Like I saw here in Los Angeles. I'm not in Los Angeles right now, but on the East Coast visiting my family. And what I read was that a lot of the hotels couldn't they couldn't hire. There was an issue with them employing certain people because they were hiring foreigners and for labor, and they were paying them cheap, and so there was like some type of issue with that where it was like they couldn't hire them anymore. They couldn't do like overtime. They went and got like they figured out a loophole and started like hiring people like the French, and like there was a loophole because somewhere in France it was just. So what I'm saying is there's always a way. There's always a way.
Always,
Always a
always,
way.
or else we
Just
wouldn't be here.
we wouldn't be here.
Just step out there on faith. Sometimes you may hit a wall, but what are you going to gain if you didn't even try? So
Yeah.
at least try. And it may open up another door for you once you've tried that and go, oh, wait, I didn't know there was a door over here. Let's try this one. So
Yeah.
you have to stay in the right mind frame. Listen, I get tied up and passionate about our real estate and our country too, because I don't want to see our country going through what it's going through. But listen, it still doesn't mean that your life is going to stop just because it changed.
That's
You
right.
got to switch your mindset.
Yep. All right, Lala, I'm ready. I'm right. I don't know if you're ready. Do we need to know anything else? Any other cool, we can start to ask. I would love to know. And this is like a sidebar. In pertaining to real estate, do you all have anything, and I'm talking to the people in the chat, is there anything in particular that before we start, is there anything in particular that you want to know? I'm curious, so that start to put those things in the chat. Like, why did you come today? What is it that you want to get out of this training? Do you want to buy international? Tell me, you want to buy international? You want to buy domestic? If you want to buy in the States, where? I'm just curious, so we can know who we're talking to. So go ahead and put that in the chat. I will take myself off the stage and allow you to roll.
Yay! I hope you're excited because this is going to be fun. So I hope that you have your favorite beverage. You got your notebook. I also have a free notebook for you that you can download with these steps. And you can download that at bit.ly wish list to welcome Matt, all lowercase. So
Okay.
go ahead and download that.
Wish
Wish
list
list, wish,
to
wish
wish
list
to
to
push.
welcome Matt.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna put that on the banner. I'm gonna put that on a banner when I hop off stage. But you can take it away. You all, Laura Lalaki. Thank you
All
for
right. So,
coming.
yeah, I know, excited. So, listen, guys, like I said, just kick back, relax, and know that we are going to go through everything that you need to understand when you are getting ready to buy a home and the steps that you're going to have to do. Because you hear a lot of people say, "Yo, you can come to this training," and they talk about the down payment, they talk about the lending, they talk about the realtor. But they don't talk about what you have to go through during those steps. They don't talk about contracts, inspections, appraisals, things of that nature. That's what we're going to talk about today because it's also going to launch you into the international part. So we're going to start stateside. And as I said, all you have to do is go and download the workbook that goes with this. It's bit.ly wish list to welcome Matt, and you will have the steps. You will have to double opt in because why? Well, they say real estate is one of the dirty dozen. So they have to make sure that if I give you an email that you give me approval to do so. So make sure that you do that so that you can have that and take notes. So listen, I want to tell you just a little bit about me. We've already said that. I started in 2016 when the market crashed. I started in Denver, Colorado. I continued my real estate journey in California and then in Florida, as well as Kentucky. And then in 2022, I added international real estate just through my own passions of singing and traveling with my husband and doing music as well. So as you can see, we do all the things, but the traveling and seeing places worldwide really opened my mind up to what is available in the world, like you should. Don't just feel like you are stuck where you are. There are many possibilities and many ways to get there. So, the first thing that you're going to do, and one of the main questions that I have is um, finding an agent or finding a lender first. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to start with an agent. So when you are finding an agent, talk to people that you know who have purchased a home already. Ask for referrals. Ask them if their agent was good or not. Then you want to make sure that you verify their credentials. Go online, kind of look and see if you can find anything about them. But here's the two things that I want you to find out the most. First of all, you're going to contact me, because this is what I do. I have a big network, but I wanted to at least show you there's some other ways of going to this step. You need to consider their availability. Well, Lala, what does that mean? Hey, are they only an agent that works Monday through Friday? Are they only an agent that works on the weekend? Are they only an agent that works during the working times during the day? There are many different types of agents that do different types of business. And let me give you an example. I do REO, which is bank owned properties foreclosures. I have that experience. Well, most of the other agents that do that, they don't really work on the weekend. Why? Because the banks aren't open on the weekend. So you need to talk to them about their availability to see if they are going to fit with your schedule. And you also want to make sure that you establish communication guidelines with them. Are you a texter? Is that how you want to communicate? Are you old school and say, listen, I need you to pick up that phone and call me? Are you an emailer? I want you to confirm that we talked today in an email. This is very, very important, because if you don't establish how you're going to communicate, then you're going to be very frustrated, and you don't want to kicking off being very, very frustrated. You want to make sure that that person is going to communicate with you. Do you know that's pretty much the number one thing that I hear about people is, my agent didn't communicate with me. I didn't understand what was going on. I told you myself, when I purchased my home, we ended up doing it all ourselves. And then, my agent came to the closing in a jogging suit to pick up his check. That is not acceptable. And if you need someone to really work the way you want them to, you want to make sure you establish this up front. So how do you choose a lender? Well, I really and truly advise that you shop around, because there are many different types of lenders. I love it when people tell me that they have a credit union. A lot of the times, credit unions can be very, very competitive with other types of lenders. So you want to go there first. Try that first. Then you can look to a mortgage broker. And a mortgage broker is where they take your loan, they see who has the best rates for you, and they shop around your loan to make sure you get the best deal. Okay. The second type is a mortgage banker. A mortgage banker actually funds your loan. Then after you close it, that's when they assign your loan to another lender to service it. So you want to make sure that you know that those are two different things. You've got your banks that are traditional banks. You could talk to them. You can talk to your credit union, or you're going to get a mortgage broker or a mortgage banker. So ask questions when you talk to the lender. Before you fill out anything, ask them, what type of loans do you offer? Do you have any special programs? Do you work with down payment assistance? Because some do not. And if you are using down payment assistance and they don't understand that or use that, you may be missing out on free money. And speaking of down payment assistance, my loves, every state has them. Every state. All you have to do is to Google it. Google down payment assistance programs in Los Angeles, California, and you will see. And don't go for the top ones that they put at the top, because those are advertisements. Go down to the bottom and see that there is LIPA. There is special programs for police officers. Those are things that you need to know. And if you can tap into those, do so. You'll also find out that sometimes there'll even be special programs for just a neighborhood or a school district. So not only do you have the state down payment, the city down payment, you may even have specialties of being a teacher or a doctor or whatever. And every state is different. So when you talk to your lender, say to them, hey, do you know of any special programs that may fit into my criteria? And they'll tell you if they do or don't, or tell you if they don't work with them or not. Then you want to make sure that you understand all of their fees, because lenders do have additional fees that you'll see tacked onto your loan. So you want to say to them, hey, what other fees outside of my lending fees are you going to charge me? And what does that look like? And make them explain it to you and put it in writing. And finally, once you have found your lender, I don't want you to just get pre-qualified. That doesn't matter. Pre-qualified means nothing. I can call a lender and say, hey, I make $350,000. My bills each month are only $1,800. How much do I qualify for? Well, Miss Key, you qualify for 1 million, blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't give him any paperwork to prove this. A pre-qualification means absolutely nothing. When you go to a lender, you want to get completely pre-approved. That means turning in all your paperwork. That means talking to them and letting them verify your information. But here is the Willy Wonka golden ticket. You want to ask them to please give you a DU underwritten approval. DU. That's directly underwritten. And that is your golden ticket, because a directly underwritten approval means that an underwriter has already looked at your stuff, and all you need to do is to go and find a home. Now, I see that some people are saying that they can't find the link to the checklist. It's really simple. Let me tell you where you can get that. It's all lowercase, bit.ly/wish list to welcome Matt. All one word. All one word. So go ahead and get your checklist. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. Once you have found your lender and you have found your agent, now you need to understand that you all are a family. I kid you not. You are now brother, sister, cousin, because your relationship needs to be tight. Because if one person drops the ball in your pieces of your puzzles, it can mean you losing the deal of your lifetime. So you want to make sure that you have everyone introduced, everyone is on the same page, and the same questions that you ask the realtor, you want to ask the lender. How do you work? Do you work on the weekend? Can you provide me blah, blah, blah? You want to do that before you start looking. Now, once you have done that and you have chosen your agent, you need to understand different types of agency. And there are a few. And here are the ones that are very, very important. And we had a massive change in real estate this year. And this is why I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this so that you can understand why an agent is going to ask you to sign an agency agreement. First of all, you have a couple of different agencies. Who represents you? First of all, the listing agent. The listing agent is the person who puts the sign in the yard, has the pictures taken, and negotiates on the behalf of the seller. The seller, the one who is selling the house. The buyer's agent / seller's agent, sometimes in some states, is the one who represents you. They are going to help you find the house. They are going to write the contract. They're going to help you with inspections and appraisals and you name it. They're going to do everything that they can to get this deal closed for you. They work for you, not the seller. So they represent you and what you need to do to buy a home. Then there's a dual agent. I don't advise dual agent, because the dual agent is the one who's going to represent the actual deal, the transaction. They can't really give one weight to you as a buyer and one weight to the seller as a buyer. They're supposed to be unbiased for the transaction. Well, I have an issue with this. It's because if you're not being represented and there is something that happens during that deal that you really need someone to fight for you, how can you be unbiased as an agent? Now, it is up to you, but I'm giving you some pros and some cons of that. A lot of people just assume that if they go to the listing agent, that they're going to get their deal accepted. That's not true. You don't want someone who's only going to give you 50% of the responsibility and not give you full attention. So really think about that before you sign dual agency. And the reason I say that is because you don't want something major to happen and then you find out you lost the deal because the agent couldn't represent either one of you. That's just not a good look. Now, is it good in some circumstances? I'm going to tell you yes, because like I said earlier on in our training, I also represent banks. My company represents REO, bank-owned properties. Well, for them, they already have their guidelines. They know their bottom line. When they hire me, they don't care if I they want me to bring the buyer because they know that I already understand what they're looking for and what they won't accept, and I can advise that buyer correctly. Doesn't mean you're also going to get a deal just because it's REO. That's not how real estate works. But sometimes you may. So in those cases, if you're going to work with someone who is a listing agent for like an REO, you may want to go ahead and choose that person because they understand, and it's okay for you to use someone who does that. I don't like to do both sides, to be very honest, because when I give my all, I give my all to someone, and it's really hard to split yourself into two people. So just take that into consideration. So you ready to move on? Okay. Hope you're learning a lot. I am really looking for questions. So when I do see questions, I will have a question and answer section, and I will do my best to answer your questions. I'm always here for that. Now, there is a reason I really went through that very carefully, because this year, 2024, the National Association of Realtors lost a case over our agencies. And we used to split our commissions with the listing agent. That was negotiated with the seller, and then we were just told what they were going to give the buyer's agent. No longer the case. You have three options now, and you need to talk to your agent about every home that you look at to see which agency it falls under. There's one, the seller offers to pay the buyer's agent. That means you don't have to pay the buyer's agent. The seller's agent, the listing agent is going to give your buyer's agent a percentage of what was going on. And you have a right to always ask what they're earning on each house. I always tell people. Two, the seller is only offering a little bit of compensation, but not all. Maybe they're going to pay your buyer's agent, but not up to what they expect to earn in that deal. So then that agent can negotiate with you. Okay, well, the seller is going to pay me such and such amount, but my office is requiring me to have such and such. How will you be paying the additional commission? So you have to have that conversation before you even go out, and you need to sign a document to make it clear. There is no handshakes in real estate. There is not that old school spitting your hand, shake your hand thing and move on. You need to have everything in writing. And then third, the seller may not pay your buyer's agent anything at all. And if that's the case, you need to have that discussion with your buyer's agent on how they will get paid in the deal. Now, currently, this change happened so fast and so quickly that lenders are kind of scrambling a little bit to see what they can do. You can possibly negotiate with your lender saying that, listen, if I need to pay my agent, can I wrap this in my loan? Is there something that I can do about helping to pay my agent? I'm only limited. So these are all hard conversations that you need to have before you get in the car. Before you start having an agent send you stuff, you need to have these conversations and understand why they're asking you for buyer's agency now, because now it's pretty much illegal for us to show you a house without having buyer's agency. So you want to know an insider trick? You want to know an insider thing? You don't have to have buyer's agency for a very, very long time. You can write buyer's agency many different ways. Maybe you're testing out this agent and you're like, I don't know about this agent yet. So you sign agency to show you houses just for that Saturday. You can do it just for that. You can do it for one house. You can do it for a certain amount of months. Typically, my clients stay with me anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Although sometimes I've had a client up to 2 years because they just couldn't find the house that they wanted. But you always can renew those agencies and ask them to write it for a certain amount of periods. That's an insider trick. I hope that you'd love that so that you don't feel so scared about signing that agency. But when you get that document, read it before you sign it. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the next section. We're going to start looking at properties. Now that you have your agent, now that you have your lender. Now you can't tell me you're not already looking at houses because it's so easy to do so with websites like Redfin and the dreaded Z word. I won't even say that word. It's not my favorite. But there's many ways that you can see homes online, even without signing up for anything. So the internet has opened up a whole new world of being able to see properties. So what I want to break this down into is the types of homes you will see. And I don't mean styles, because this part is very, very important. Here's the key phrase for this. The home must fit the loan. The home must fit the loan. If you have an FHA loan, which is a government-backed loan, there are only going to be certain houses that you can see. You cannot see a whole bunch of fixer-uppers if they don't fall into the government guideline. Remember, the home must fit the loan. So if it's a fixer-upper, you may not be able to see that with an FHA loan. You may be able to see it with a conventional loan. You may be able to see it with a rehab loan. But certain restrictions with HUD and FHA loans will not allow you to see certain things. So you have a standard sale, regular buyer, regular seller, no problems in between, ain't nobody bothering you. You have a probate. A probate is when someone has passed away and someone is now the executor on that property. And this can vary different ways. If there is a real person who the will was written correctly, it may flow smoother. However, if that person passed away and didn't have a will established or probate established, you still may have to deal with the courts. That's another question you want to ask your real estate agent. Do you deal with probate properties? Because not every agent does. You're going to deal with short sales. Now, the reason I put this one in here, guys, is because I really do feel that some of these are going to come back. With me working with the banks, I'm starting to see a lot of people still fall behind on their houses. So it's called a short sale. A short sale is when someone owes a certain amount of money on a house, right? But they have to sell it, but it's no longer worth what they bought it for. So now they have to ask the bank, hey, Mr. Banker, I need to sell my house, but it's not worth what it used to be. That is a short sale. The bank now has to get involved and say, yes, you can sell it for this price. And it's a process. It takes a little bit longer than just a standard sale. Then you have an REO. REO is real estate owned. Real estate owned. Foreclosure. And there are a couple of different types of foreclosures. You have your standard foreclosure. Then you have your HUDs. Urban Housing Development is HUD's properties. Those are foreclosures. So if someone had an FHA-backed home and they foreclosed, the government promised to buy it back from that lender who serviced it. So that's where you get the special HUD homes. So those are out there as well. Those are a little easy to get. I think you remember I told you early on in the presentation, I started with HUDs and I was very successful at it and they were pretty easy deals. Not all HUD homes are in bad shape. I've had people purchase homes where all they had to do is back their truck up into the driveway and move in. And then I've had HUDs where people had to maybe just fix one room. Maybe the kitchen needed fixing, and and then you've had some, oh Lord, then I've had some that need a complete rehab. It just all depends on what you see. And there's a special website for that too. That you can go to and check those out and only see which ones are in that state. And I'll provide that to you in a minute. So those are the type of properties that you're going to see. But the key thing to remember is what? The home must fit the loan. You can't buy fixer-uppers with FHA unless they're using a certain loan product called the 203K. Okay, so they do have a rehab thing, but that's a lot harder to deal with. And that's just another topic that we will hit on another day. Just know that there are ways around that too. So let's move on. We're looking at properties. We've seen them. You've scheduled them. So before we write the offer and we're looking at the properties, I want to just remind you of a couple of things. Listen, when you're ready to go see a property, don't worry about looking at the house. You're there to shop, right? So before you write this offer, right in between searching, reviewing properties and writing the offers, you're going to go see the house. Now, in today's world, you may be able to go and see 3 to 5 houses. That's how I used to do it. We used to schedule people for 3 to 5 houses. But when the market crashed, sometimes I had to just show one house at a time because the availability of the seller wasn't available. So just know that just because you want to see a house doesn't mean you're always going to be able to see it immediately. The agent will call to listing agent to schedule an appointment. And then you have to work with them to see when you see the house. And when you get there, here's what I don't want you to do. Walk around with your head down if somebody's in the house because they can't leave and not look at anything. You are allowed to open cabinets to see if they're big enough. If you want to see if that linen closet is big enough, you can look at that. You're not allowed to open people's private things like drawers and dressers. Don't do that. That's none of your business. None of your business. But you are allowed to really look at the house. Like look at the walls, look underneath the rugs. Because I kid you not, one time they had a custom rug made and no one bothered to look. This happened to another agent that I know. And when they closed the deal, they took that rug. There was a hole in the floor. No one ever even bothered to look underneath that rug. So it's okay to look under the rug. See, is that discolored or is this something special? You really need to shop like you're shopping and putting on a dress or some clothes, right? To make sure that that home is going to fit your lifestyle. So don't be ashamed of that, but also be courteous. Now, once you found your home, it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. We are going to be writing an offer on a home. Listen, this offer that you are writing will become the blueprint for how this deal will close. It is your roadmap. It will have your deadlines. It will say what you expect from the seller. It will ask the seller from things that you want. So this is your blueprint. This is like the Bible. Kid you not. This is your official document for how your deal is going to go. So before you write the offer, you're going to sit down with your agent and you're going to say, hey, listen, I really like this house, but I really do want those curtains to stay because I don't want to have custom curtains done. So can we write in this offer that I want to keep the curtains? Or if there's a shed in the back that's in ill repair, you can say, can you please tell in this offer that they will have that shed torn down before we close? You can ask for anything in these offers, but that doesn't mean you're always going to get it. But this is where you're going to tell the seller, this is how much I am offering you. This is how much I'm going to put down as my earnest money. And we will talk about that a little bit later. So put that in your side pocket of what that is. This is when I want to close. This is what I want out of this deal. And this is when I want to have my inspections. This is when I want to have my appraisal. You're laying it all out so that when the seller gets that, they know exactly what you are asking for them so that they know what you're expecting. So when you're writing your offer, you first want to tell your agent, hey, I need you to run some comps. And what is a comp? A comp is when you are buying a house and say it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in a certain neighborhood, right? It has a garage. That agent will go and look in the system, tick, 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 in the MLS system, and go and see what other homes within a 1-mile radius of that house that you're going to put an offer on have sold for in the last 6 to 1 year time. And if she or he sees that this house is priced at 650,000, but everything else in the neighborhood sold for 550, they're gonna be like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. Why is this house selling for $100,000 more? Why? What's going on? Is this seller being delusional, or is there something special that I need to know about? This is what they need to do before they write that offer with you, so that if you say, I'm going to give them full price. So let's write the offer, and she can come back and say, I don't think we need to offer full price. Let me do a little bit more digging on this to see why this house is so high. Or they can say, wait a minute, you got a really good deal. Everything else here is selling for $750, but they're selling for $650 here. Wonder why, right? So she can probably find more things out about that home. So before you make that offer, have your agent run the comps so that you can see if you're getting a good deal. Also, that agent needs to call the listing agent and say, hey, Mr. Listing Agent, do you have any offers on the table? Can you please tell me if they are over asking price or under asking price? She can word things correctly to try to get as much information out of that listing agent as possible. They are not required to tell you if there's other offers on the table. They are not really required to tell you if they're over asking price. But sometimes you may get that little bit of information if the seller allows it. Like, yeah, go on and tell them we got 4 more offers, to let you know how you need to write your offer. And that's where you come in and you write the strongest terms possible. If no one has an offer on there, you can probably play around a little bit. But if it's a highly desired area and the market is hot and you really want that house, you really shouldn't be lowballing things and hoping that the seller will come back and give you a better counter. Nope, you need to come in strong as you can, or you're willing. Now, if you're an investor, because I know many of you are investors here, right? The game is different. But what we are talking about today is buying a home that is going to be yours. And you're planning on living in this house for at least 5 to 10 years. So you want to make sure that if you find the right house, you don't play around with that. So once you have that offer written, it's time for you to sign that. This puts your legitimate bind on it. Your buyer's agent is going to not only send over the offer, but they are going to send over your pre-approval letter from your lender and send proof of funds. What are proof of funds? They're going to show that you have enough money to pay the down payment and pay the earnest money. And like I said, put that in your side pocket, because I want you to understand what that is. And we'll have a little section exactly on what that is. So now that you have written your offer and you have submitted it to the seller, this is what happened next. Negotiations and counters. Just because you put in an offer doesn't necessarily mean that that seller is going to initially take it the way that it's written. Maybe you did ask for those curtains and she's like, them is my grandma's curtains. They can't stay in there. They got to come with me. So she may write a counter back saying, well, I like your price, but you can't have the curtains. So this is when you start negotiating. Maybe you asked for a home buyer's warranty, which I highly advise that you do on all offers. The seller may say, I'll pay half of your home buyer's warranty. So if we went down this bull in the china shop, you will see that you can negotiate absolutely everything, but nothing, absolutely nothing is accepted until everyone signs the documents. That includes the counters, the negotiations, your original, all that has initials. That's when it becomes a valid contract. Until then, you just going back and forth. You throwing out, hey, I want this. Nope, can't have it, but I give you this. And sometimes you can go back and forth several different times. This is why I say you should always try to write your offer as clean as possible and have your agent write as clean as possible, right? So when you're putting that offer in, make sure it's pretty clear so that you don't have to keep going back and forth with so much paperwork. So now you've got an accepted offer. You got everything that you wanted, right? Now we in the nitty gritty. We coming in now, all right? You are officially under contract. In some states, it's called in escrow, okay? So you've got an accepted contract. Now, that is your roadmap. Remember, I told you this is your roadmap to the whole deal. It is legally binding. If anything in that contract needs to change, it must be in writing. Don't let someone say, you know what, I'm gonna leave this kitchen table for you because I don't think I'm gonna be able to take it. Have them put it in writing in an addendum. Seller agrees to leave the kitchen table for the buyer free of charge. See, you don't want to get to your closing and find out all these verbal things that you said are not being honored. So everything that you do needs to be in writing. This ain't no old school, like I told you, ain't no handshakes and thank you, ma'am, right? We want everything in writing. So now that you have that acceptance, we're getting ready to make some music, all right? There are many levels to this. So now we're going to kind of split a little bit. What happens after your contract is accepted? Your earnest money is now due. Title and escrow is now opened. You will be scheduling inspections. You will be scheduling appraisals. So let's sit here for just a little bit of time because I want to explain what these are. First, earnest money is your skin in the game. Earnest money is not free money that goes away like Puff the Magic Dragon. So when you write your offer, you can negotiate how much money you're going to put in for skin in the game. So if the house is $200,000 and you put an offer in and you're going to say, hey, I'm going to give you $5,000 earnest money to show you I'm serious about buying this house. Okay. When you get that, it doesn't go to the seller. The seller doesn't get to hold that money unless you negotiated it that way. Don't do that. I'm going to tell you that. Don't do that. Make sure your earnest money gets held in title or escrow. And the reason I say that is in different states, it's different things. California is an escrow state. Colorado is a title state. New York City is an attorney state. So those are the people who are going to be your neutral third parties that's going to hold your earnest money until the deal is done and everyone tells them what to do with that. But you don't normally do an offer without putting some kind of good faith money into escrow or title. So always know that you need to have that. Now I'm going to be getting into your pocketbooks. Now, most of your pocketbooks and wallets have sections, right? Put a section down for your earnest money. Now, like I said, it's not magic money. When your escrow money goes in, later on, that could be applied to your down payment. If the deal goes through, they could just say, okay, well, you've already put down $5,000, so we'll want to put that toward your down payment when you close, okay? But if the deal falls apart for any reason whatsoever, the seller cannot go to title or escrow and say, you know, the deal fell apart, give me their money because I'm mad about it. No, ma'am, no, sir. That money is protected. And unless everyone signs what they're going to do with that money, and you're following that roadmap, and you hit the deadlines that you did in your contract, everyone must sign and say, okay, the seller doesn't get this because we're still within our contract time, and we just decided that we can't move forward after we've learned some things about the house that you provided to us, right? So you can say, I need my earnest money back, and you can close escrow. You can get your earnest money back in several different ways. Okay, you can get your earnest money back from a failed inspection, a failed appraisal, something that was uncovered that you didn't know before you put an offer in. But you cannot come to me and say, I got cold feet, I can't do it. I got cold feet, I can't do it. I'm scared. I'm scared I can't do it. If I can't give them a reason for you backing out of a deal, which typically we always can find some of those, then I can't help you with it. Or if you've missed a deadline, if you didn't turn in, you didn't get your inspections done in time, and now you're trying to say that you want to back out of the deal, the seller can hold you accountable for that earnest money. Okay, this is why you need a good agent, and this is why you need to understand the contracts that you are signing and the deadlines that you have in that contract. Okay, so we've touched on earnest money. Earnest money is not magic money. It's not magic unicorn money. There is a purpose for that. And that purpose is to show good faith, but it also can be returned to you if something happens in the deal that is valid, not just because you backed out. Okay, so that is going on. Now we're going to move on to the next slide because we're going to break down what I'm saying here. Okay, inspections come next. Once you've turned in that money to escrow or title, they are going to do their own thing. Okay. So while they're doing their own thing, we're doing some of our own things on this side, right? So escrow is over here holding your money. They're starting to order reports. They're starting to make sure everything is put in order, putting the paperwork in order. But while they're doing that, we're doing this. We're going to schedule our inspections immediately. Usually you have anywhere from 7 to 14 days to do your home inspection. I do not advise you to wait. I advise you to schedule those inspections as soon as you know that you have acceptance on that house, and try to get that inspection ASAP, because this is a major driving force into launching into a successful closing. You're going to have several different types of inspections. Yes, Lala. Several. And I'm going to tell you why, because you may run into some things you didn't even think about. First of all, you are going to get a general home inspection. Get it by a licensed inspector. Now, your agent probably has a list of them, but you also can do your homework too. But I know I have some that I know are good, and I always have a list of 3 to 5 for my clients. So your agent should have that. Okay. You cannot get Uncle George down the street to come and inspect your house. Well, Uncle George bought a home. He bought a home 15 years ago. I'm going to have him come and look at this house. No. If Uncle George is not an inspector, you don't get to call Uncle George in. He can come and look at it and talk to you, but your general inspector is going to be the one. What are they going to do? They're going to get on the roof. They're going to get in the crawl space. They're going to turn on the appliances. They're going to look at the electrical box. They are going to do absolutely everything they can to find anything. They're going to look at the outlets. They're going to test the outlets. They're going to, honey, sometimes them general inspectors come out. They come all nice and pristine, and they leave with dust and cobwebs all in their hair and everything else. And I will tell you, I have been underneath the house before, and I appreciate what they do. I don't ever want to do it again. So you want to make sure that you hire an inspector. Now, coming from California and coming from Florida and Kentucky, I know that there are different prices for inspections. In California, a typical good inspector is going to cost you anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for a typical size house. A lot of times they charge via the however big your house is. Okay. In Kentucky, I know that there are some for $250. All right. So it just depends on what state you live in, and the economy for that state. All right. And I do want to remind you, I'm going to take a deep breath. Okay. You know, all this stuff that I'm telling you right now, you probably feverishly writing down. Don't worry. We have recordings for you. This is all being recorded and can be found on flynubianmoneyclub.com. So take a deep breath because there's a lot of information I'm giving you, right? But just know that you can go back and reference this. But I do hope that you're taking good notes and you did download the workbook that I gave you because it gives you the flow chart of everything that we are working on today. And you could do that at bit.ly/wish list to welcome Matt. All lowercase, just like that. Okay, so now you've got your general inspector, right? He doing his thing. Don't you dare tell me that you're not coming to inspection. No, ma'am. No, sir. You need to be there. You may be twiddling your thumbs for an hour, but you need to be there because sometimes that you can follow them around. If you can say, hey, but what does this look like? Now don't bug the person, but you can be taking notes yourself while you're walking around the house. And while you're there, you can take advantage of this time of being in the home and looking at it while the inspector is doing his thing. Measure your curtains, measure where you're going to put your couch. Start making plans of, I want my kitchen to look this way, right? So this is your opportunity to come in and breathe in the house and kind of start looking at yourself living there, okay? Once that inspector has looked at everything, and this includes, like, thank you for mentioning that, the AC, the heating system, all of that, okay? All of that. Then he will come to you afterwards and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, let's have a talk. Let's me, you, and your agent sit down for a minute, okay? Let's go over what I found. That person will go over everything that they found in that house. They will let you know if it's a safety issue or if it's something minor. It is their job to make note of everything. So they will give you a lot of things that are minor that may not make a big difference, but they will also tell you about the safety situations that need to be done. Remember, the home must fit the loan. If something dangerous is in that house and that doesn't fall on the FHA list, you got a problem. But we have solutions for that. Okay. So while he's doing that, he'll say, all right, here's what we found. You can discuss this with your agent. I'm going to go back to my office. I'll probably have this full-fledged report for you within 24 hours. Okay. So when you get that report, he's actually going to have pictures and the reports of everything. Now, let's go back to the last slide for inspections, because we're not quite finished with that. But Lala, you just told me he looks at everything. Well, he looks at everything that he's supposed to, but guess what? You need to talk to your general home inspector to ask them if they also include the following: mold, big in wet states; radon, big in mountainous areas like Denver, Colorado; sewer. Oh my God, do I have stories for you on sewer. You need someone to come and put a scope down into those pipes to make sure that there isn't any blockages, there isn't any roots that have gotten in there. You want to do that. These are all extra fees. And you also want to have a termite inspector to come out. Then if there's a specialty that your general home inspector doesn't cover, such as a chimney or a pool or a sauna, you need to check to make sure your general home inspector also has people who can check into these things, because it's worth the extra money. And let me give you a little side story on why. Okay. I had a client, beautiful client, buying a house in Los Angeles, California. Love the couple. Found their dream home. Okay. Little lady and husband had lived there for many years. The husband had it built. She was 92 years old. She had lost her husband. Her children were like, it's time for mom to come and stay with us, so we need to sell the house. This little lady had been living in this house ever since it was built. The drains were slow. She just thought, over time, the drains have just gotten slow. We did a sewer scope. Y'all, when I say the sewer, here was the pipe. Here was the dirt. Did you see my hands move? There looked like there was a dirt snake all through there. And the sewer scope couldn't even get through there. So I negotiated to have that pipe fixed. That would have cost my clients $25,000. $1,000 if they did not have that sewer scope done. Inspections are a point of renegotiation. If you find things that are not kosher or you're not willing to do or it's not safe, you're going to have a request for repair. And this is where you get to renegotiate things, ask for things, let the seller know that you found some things. And then this is where you go back and forth to say if that seller is going to fix it or not. And if they say no, and you're like, I ain't got that kind of money, this is where what? You can back out of the contract and get your earnest money. Okay. So you must really be diligent about getting your inspections and done on time. So I hope that little horror story scared you enough to know that you need to have some additional. I'm not about fear, but I am about being smart. You don't want to move into a house and then find out there are major issues. Okay. So after you're doing that, you're also your title rep. We can go to the next slide now. The title rep is still doing their search. Okay. What is title? Title is where they dig in. They're doing this on the side while me and you doing another dance. Okay. We're doing the cha-cha. They over there doing the Hollywood shuffle for a minute. All right. So title digs into the history of the property. It verifies the ownership. It checks to see if there are liens or encumbrances. It checks to see if there's easement restrictions. What are easement restrictions? Maybe someone put a fence over on your property or your property's over on someone else's fence and it was recorded and you didn't really know about it. Now you have to deal with a survey on the property. Do you want to really deal with that or not? So the title is doing all of that, and that title search should come to you fairly quickly, and it will tell you everything. Does this person have a right to sell this home? Is it really theirs? So that's what you want, a clear title. Now, there's almost always a lien on the property, right? Well, that's scary. What do you mean there's a lien on the property? It's usually the mortgage. A mortgage is a lien. So if that house is not free and clear, the mortgage on that house is a lien. So it shouldn't freak you out because the seller is going to have to pay that at closing and the house will be free and clear. Now, there are also other kind of liens you need to be aware of. It's called a mechanic's lien. So if someone had a sun deck put on that house and they didn't pay the person for doing that, that contractor could put a lien on the house and that must be paid for before the home is sold. That's not for you to pay. The seller needs to deal with that, but you at least need to be aware of it. Okay. So while we're doing our cha-cha, title is over here doing the mamba. All right. And don't forget, you can get this whole training at flynubianmoneyclub.com. So this recording will be there. All right. We're cruising along, right? So let's move forward. Now, while cha-chas and sambas are all being done on this side, you got a whole nother country dance, line dance going on in the background called Escrow. Right? I told you that Escrow holds the funds. It collects all the documents. It ensures that everything is in compliance and it gets all your paperwork ready for closing. So they over here doing their own little thing with Beyonce doing a line dance. All right. So just know you have several different entities. Now, if you live in a state that combines these, it could be one office. But if you live in a state that has many different, you may have escrow office, you may have a title office, you may have an attorney's office. So, but in some states, they're all in one, right? They're all in one. So just know that wherever you live, different states have different policies, but you're still going to be dealing with all of these principles. Okay. So make sure that you know who they are. They have introduced themselves to you. Your agent is involved. The seller's agent is involved. Your lender's involved. Because guess who else is doing a special dance in the background while we're doing all this? Your lender. Your lender is going to be calling you. Hey, I need some updated documents. I need this. I need that. You'd be like, I just gave it to you. But no, I need to update it. So I suggest that you have a folder, and anytime you get anything new, a new pay stub, a new bank statement, put it in there. So when your lender calls you and says, I need updated, here you go. Give it to them immediately. So as you can see, we're learning a lot of dances as we're moving along. Okay. So let's move on to the next section. Attorneys, like I said, can do all of this stuff too. Like New York, they do all of this. They receive and prepare all the documents. They do, they facilitate the closing. They may provide you with legal advice and guidance. So it just depends on what state will do what. Okay, now let's move on to the next section. Y'all ready? The lender's back here doing their dance. So I want you to understand what else they're doing in the background. They're not just collecting and calling and doing things. They're ordering your appraisal. And let me explain something about appraisals. When we had that crash in 2006, 2007, 2008, there was a lot of corruption found with lenders, appraisers, agents, everybody. Some people were just dirty. They just got into little bundles and all worked together. Well, because of that, new restrictions came out. I am not allowed to talk to the appraiser. Neither is the sellers, the listing agent. Neither is the lender. When it's time for appraisal, they will push a button to order that appraisal, and that appraiser will be sent out. Unless the appraiser contacts me, I cannot say anything other to them, because I can show up to the house and say, hey, Mr. Appraiser, here's the comps that I use. Thank you, bye. I can't give them a coffee, and I bet not even smile. Just give it to them and walk away, because they will consider that, you know, you don't want any kind of corruption with that. Okay. So just know that nobody's really talking to this appraisal. There's a button pushed and there you go. Right. So also underwriting. Remember I told you that magic Willy Wonka underwriting approval. If you didn't get that part done, then this is going on in the background. The underwriter's going, wait a minute, where's she getting this gift money from? I need to know if Auntie Titi is really Auntie Titi. Where you giving her this money from? They're going to be asking some serious stuff. This is why I ask you to do this immediately when you actually are putting in your application for your loan. Just do this ahead of time so they can do that ahead of time and not waste your time. Because once that's done and they've said, yeah, you're pretty much good to go on your loan. So ask for a directly underwritten loan. Okay. And they will also do final checks on your information. So what does that mean, Lala? Let me tell you something. You better not change jobs. You better not quit your job. They want everything to be the way that it was when you started this process. I had a client almost lose a home. It was a married couple. They were good to go. 3 days before we were scheduled to close, the lender calls me and says, oh my God, we can't close this loan. The husband quit his second job. The wife didn't know. So we had to scramble immediately. Luckily, they still had enough money to cover what their loan was. But by him quitting that job, they could have lost their inspection money. They could have lost their appraisal money. They could have lost the earnest money, and they could have lost the house. So do not change anything. Don't buy no cars. Don't co-sign for nobody. Don't open new accounts. Don't move a large amounts of money. You keep everything the way that it was before you went into escrow with your lender. And that's even if you get a big bonus. If you get a big bonus and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you see that there's extra money in your account, immediately call your lender. Guess what? I got some money and it was a bonus. It's not normal, but hey, that lender now knows, oh, I could just get a letter from your job saying it was your Christmas bonus. It's okay. Okay. So now do you see the lender's doing their own dance in the background, and you probably pulling out your hair right now because you're like, how many phone calls am I going to get today? And it's okay. But because you're taking this class, and you always can go back to flynubianmoneyclub.com and watch the recording, and also look at the handout I gave you about the process of this. You could take a deep breath, grab you a cup of coffee or a cup of wine and go, oh, I was told about this. I could take a deep breath and do this, right? So don't forget, go sign, go get the flow chart. Go get the flow chart because I got stuff for you. Let's move on. Now, while all that's going on in the background, let's talk about a couple of things that could come up. You ready? Next slide, please. Oh, we got it. Inspection. Sorry. Can you tell me, bro? I'm having a good time. I hope that you're having a good time. So we talked about inspections, right? Let's reel it into inspections again. What happens if you find issues in the inspection? Well, this is your opportunity to renegotiate, walk away, or accept. And this is also a time where you can get your earnest money back. If you do this in accordance to the timeline deadline on your contract, this is the first way that you can get out of a contract if you're not happy. I had a client in Los Angeles who absolutely loved a house, but when we found out how much money it was going to cost to fix the chimney, and the seller wasn't willing to do that, they had to back out because they weren't willing to put in $15,000 to fix the chimney. So this is why it's important to have these inspections so that you can kind of know what you're walking into. It's like kind of like a car warranty, right? You want to make sure that you go in, and this is one of the warranties you want to be, I want to see what it looks like under the hood before I really buy it. Okay. So this is your point to say to the seller in writing. It's called a request for a repair that says, hey, here's what we found, and I would like you to fix the chimney, or at least give me a credit, or remember what did I say? What's the thing we're going to say? The home must fit the loan. If it's something safety, this electrical panel is out of date and it's considered a hazard. FHA, my loan won't cover it. I need you to bring the electrical box up to date. You can negotiate that with your seller, because listen, that's something that they're probably going to hit with any buyer that they get. Now, I won't say you're always going to get it, but if you are asking for safety things, they know that they're going to have to deal with that with you or with someone else. And so therefore, 9 times out of 10, you probably will get a successful negotiation with that. Okay. But if they say no, and you're like, I ain't for it, we walking away. Or you ask for things, because here's my rule. Okay. So this is just a little trick that Lala does. Okay. Side note. I'll ask for like 3 little things when I know that there's one that I can probably negotiate, so it don't sting the seller as bad, right? See, I need you to fix this light switch, but hey, did you know that chimney needs about $5,000 worth of work? And so they may say, well, I'm fixing the light switch, but I'll fix the chimney. You see, that's called negotiations, and they also feel like they've actually won a little bit. So you know, don't be too silly with them. Like, hey, I don't like that paint. There's a paint chip underneath the window. I need you to fix that. You're not going to ask all that, right? But you are going to ask things that you can't handle or you're not willing to move forward with. Okay. Remember, if you back out here and you're within your deadline, you get your earnest money back. You don't get your inspection money back. This is also why I tell here's a side, you want another trick? This is why I always tell my lenders that I work with, your lender, whoever you bring with or whoever I provide, please don't order appraisal until we finish inspections, right? Because I don't want you to pay for inspections, for an appraisal, if we're not going to move forward, because then you'll be out of that money too, right? So I'd rather us do our inspections first before we order appraisal. And this is another reason I have you to do it early. Okay. So, all right. Now you got some education about inspections. Don't forget, you can go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, get the re-recording, because it's a lot of information. Still hope you're enjoying, but you can come back to this and take extra notes. Let's move forward. So now we have appraisal, right? What is appraisal? Well, appraisal comes and tells you if the value of the house is what you offered and what the house is worth. Appraisal has been a nightmare for a lot of people. Matter of fact, I just had a deal, believe it or not, in Los Angeles, California. Before I listed the house, I did the comps. We came up with a price that we knew would fit in those comps. We had an appraiser come in who didn't know the area, didn't look at the information that he was supposed to, and he came in $50,000 under. That buyer couldn't buy the house anymore because he stood by his appraisal, even though they tried to fight it, but he stuck by his appraisal amount, and that couple couldn't buy it anymore, and we had to go back on the market. Now, they got their earnest money back because they were in deadline. They were within deadline, But they couldn't come up with the extra $50,000 that they wanted for this house. Now, here's the good thing. I am now closing on that house with another couple where the appraiser who knows the area came in at value. So here's what happens. If the property comes in, and this is if you're using loans, if you're paying cash, is a totally different game, right? So if you're approved for, if your offer was approved at 750,000, I'm going off California prices, right? So, and it comes in at $750,000, your lender's like, yay, let's move forward. We good, right? If you offered and was accepted at $750,000 in Los Angeles, California, and then the appraisal comes in at 850, you got equity, right? The seller cannot come back and say, wait a minute. You mean this house was worth $850,000? And nope, they can't come back and change the price. They accepted that price at $750,000, right? Now, if it comes in below what? The home must fit the loan. The home must fit the loan. It doesn't qualify anymore. Your lender is not going to say, oh, we're still going to give you $750,000, even though it came in at $700,000. No, you have to renegotiate with that seller, or you must come up with the extra money in between. Or if you can't, you can say it didn't appraise, I must back out. If you are within time of your contract, you can back out and what? Get your earnest money back. Skin in the game, skin in the game. You don't get your appraisal money back. You don't get your inspection money back, but you do get your earnest money back. Okay. So this is why it's important to have your client, even though I ran comps, that appraiser just didn't understand that area. Matter of fact, came in from a different area, knew nothing about it, and just didn't even listen to anything that we said. My seller had put in new rooms and a new bathroom. He didn't even account for that. Yes, sir, it does account. So unfortunately, that's what happened, but somebody else's loss was somebody else's win. Okay, let's move on. All right, guys, we've hit all the bumps. We have gone through inspection. We have gone through appraisal. Everything's looking good. Your loan is looking good. The escrow people are putting together the paperwork for you to sign. They get ready to tell you, hey, we get ready to close next week. All right, everybody, let's pick a date. We're going to either go to the place to sign together, or they're going to send someone to your house or job to sign your paperwork, or you're going to go and meet your agent somewhere at the agent's office and sign all your papers. But before we do that, don't you dare close on a house without going back to that house and literally walking through it again. Try to do it when the person has completely moved out, because typically you can negotiate if you want them out 2 days before closing, or sometimes they'll say we'll move out after you've closed. That's part of your negotiation and contract, okay? But typically what you want to do is to go back and walk through that house again. You're going to check for any agreed upon repairs. If you asked for that seller in the request for repair to fix the sink and the sink is still broken, you don't close until you have that seller fix and provide you with a receipt of that being fixed. Uncle George can't fix it from down the street. They need to have a professional fix it, okay? So have them give you the receipt for that. You want to make sure that there is no extra damage that has happened in that house. Maybe when they were moving out, they put a big old hole in the wall that wasn't there before. No, Mr. Seller, I'm going to need you to fix that hole in the wall. That's not my responsibility, right? And you also want to make sure that all of the items that were agreed upon are still there. If you asked for that chandelier, if you asked for those curtains, those still need to be up. Okay. So these are the things that you want to make sure. This is one of the reasons for your final walkthrough. The home must be what it was you agreed upon before you close. So understand, you're not signing no papers until these things are all in order. All right. So now you've done your final walkthrough. Everything is looking good. And you're also going back to our website to make sure that you look at this video to make sure you're not missing anything at flynubianmoneyclub.com. You are getting ready to sign your documents. All right. You dressed up, you clean. You're not gonna be like my agent showed up in sweatpants. All right. Well, you dress the way you want to. Just don't tell your agent to be cute when they show up, because this is a celebration when you get here. All right. You're going to have to bring certain documents. Your escrow title or attorney representative will tell you what to bring. Your official government IDs, whether that's a passport or guys, if y'all haven't gotten the real IDs yet, you really need to do it now. We're moving that way. So get your real IDs, bring anything that they tell you to bring, have them give you a list of what to bring before you sign your documents. You're going to review all of your documents carefully. Just because you're there doesn't mean, and they're going to sit down and tell you what every page is. This is what this said. This is what this said. This is what this said. Hey, you can say, just a minute, I need to read this section, please. I need to make sure that I understand this. If I have a question, I need to ask you. You don't rush your documents. Okay. The people who are doing it, do it every day. You don't. So you want to understand what you're signing before you sign it. Do not sign it and then say, I'll ask about that later. Too late. So you want to make sure that you understand all of the documents you're signing. And what are you signing? You're signing the escrow papers, the title papers. You're signing your loan documents. In some states, your lender has to be there to explain their loan documents. Other times they'll send someone out and you can have consultations with them when you're signing. Just depends on what state you're in. But don't you dare sign anything unless you really fully understand it. Confirm your final numbers on your HUDs. The HUDs is a special document that shows you debits and credits and credits and debits and blah, blah, blah. And at the end, it tells you what you need to bring to finish paying for this deal, right? You need to understand all of those numbers. Did the lender tack on extra fees that you didn't expect? We ain't signing that, right? So ensure that all of the information is correct. Is your name correct? Did they misspell your name? Then things need to stop so that they can be corrected. Do not rush and ask questions. We are not celebrating yet. We have not gotten finished yet. This is one of the most important things I need you to take from this presentation. Don't sign on anything that you don't understand. Once you have understood it and signed it, now we can move on. Verify, verify, and verify. Final funds must be presented to close the deal. In some states like Colorado, people would bring their checks. This was a long time ago when we did the checks in early 2000s, right? Now, pretty much things are wired. So here's what I want you to understand. When this is being wired, guys, you need to make sure that you call the escrow company or title company or attorney's office and say, hey, I got the information on where I need to wire these funds. Can I please verify with you? Do this at the bank. Do this with your teller. Can I verify this account? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm sending this much money to this account. Please tell me that that's correct. Yes, that's correct. Because there are people who are out there who know how to be smart, and they'll send you these things that look real official. And if you wire final funds to somewhere that is not officially getting these funds, you are out of luck. So while you're there, don't just assume that just because you have this official paper, because anything may be looked official, that is the right information. When you go to your bank to wire these funds, you are literally calling the escrow company and saying, I need to verify this information. Then you can move forward, okay? Not me, but there was one person in my office who their buyer got screwed because they wired a large amount of money to the wrong company. And they ended up losing the deal, and it ended up being a terrible, terrible, terrible situation, and everything was in chaos. Don't forget, you can go to flynubianmoneyclub.com and check out this presentation. So now you verified your funds, you sat down and closed your papers. So what's next? Congrats, you're now a homeowner. But don't you dare move into that house until you do what first? already have that locksmith come and change those locks, because there is nightmares. I told my client 50,000 times in Colorado, change the locks, change the locks, change the locks. I'll do it, Lala. I'll do it. I paid for her locksmith as a gift. Okay. She just never did it. 3 months later, this man walks into her house with the key talking about, hey, sister, I'm home. He walks in, he's scared, she's scared, they all screaming. He didn't know his sister had sold the house, and she didn't change the locks. So change the locks. Then make sure that you change your address officially. Activate your services, your new, if you have any, your electric, water, all of that, you want to activate all of your services immediately. So those are the after things. Those are the after things. But for the most part, my loves, you're jing, jing, jingling, jing, jing, jingling, then you're a homeowner. So I hope that covered everything for you on doing that. So we're going to take a deep breath right now. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer those. You not only get me here, but you also can email me. And when you get my email with this presentation, you'll have my contact information as well. Okay. But you also can do it here at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. Okay. So we're going to take a deep breath now. We've got the lay of the land on how to buy a home stateside. Okay. And I do advise that, guys. It is really important for you to own a piece of land. If you can't qualify for that 4-bedroom house right now, but you can qualify for that 2-bedroom condo, I would highly suggest that you do that right now, because that property can literally launch you into that 4-bedroom house if you're patient and you wait. But right now, they're not making any more land. And a lot of corporations are buying up a lot of these houses because they want to keep you in rental land. If you have the opportunity to own something, you need to put that in your pocket. So use that property to launch into home ownership, so that you could use it for leverage on buying another home, or selling that one and getting another home, or turning that into a rental property. Or there's so many things that you could do once you have home ownership. Maybe your child needs to go to college. You could help your home can help you do that. All right. So on brand new houses too, I'm not exactly sure the question was about that. On brand new houses too that are being built. Oh yes, baby. If you're talking about a new build, you need to watch out for them folk. I'm really, on a new build, no. Juanita, you don't have to do that if you're doing on a new build, but I still do, because let me tell you why. Construction people still have keys to those homes. Why not just be safe? All right. Why not just be safe and go ahead and change the locks? Construction people have, and sailors keep those keys, and they don't normally change. And guess what? Some of those keys are good for several different properties, not just your property, but maybe even another community that they're building. So I highly, highly, highly suggest that you change those locks. Juanita also, you said on a brand new house, somebody said mobile homes. Yes, mobile homes are a different breed, but places like California are getting bigger on mobile homes. Also in Florida, they're absolutely huge. That requires a special loan. You still need to have an inspection. You still need to dig into if you're renting the lot or not. So those are a different set, but always still have an inspection, because you want to make sure that mobile home is correct. And you're still going to have an appraisal. You know why? Because mobile homes are put together. And this goes for manufactured homes too. Homes are put together. All right, we're backing up the truck on this one. Beep, 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 beep. We're backing up the truck. Beep, beep, beep. We're snapping these two together and it becomes a home. But guess what? You have to have a government tag on both sides to get that loan. All right. Okay. Right. So you want to make sure that both of those tags are on there, or else you won't be able to get the loan. I know that you're part of the NACA program. NACA is good in Los Angeles. And we talked about down payment. So yes, down payment will help you. And there's many different down payments and programs such as NACA that will help you. However, I want you to understand when you're dealing with places like NACA, you are going to jump through a lot of hoops. You're also going to, it may slow the process down. And sometimes it can limit you on what houses you buy, because some sellers are like, I have to wait this long. It's not a negative. Just know that what you're walking into may take you a little bit longer in those type of programs. But I'm very glad that you're using NACA. I have dealt with NACA, especially in Los Angeles. All right. Let me take a sip of water. All right. Because now, what you going to do about it if you want to buy international? Shaquita, you said Italy. And I got some places for you. But we're going to talk about what you need to do when you are possibly thinking about moving out of the country. There's a lot of things that you have to research before you do that. It's not as easy as you think, and doesn't mean to discourage you. It just means I need you to open your mind so that you know what you can expect. Let me take this sip of water because we get ready to get in it. Ready? All right, let's go ahead and get into the international part of buying real estate. Ready? Here we go. Buying abroad is definitely going to open your horizons. Listen, whether you just don't like what's going on in the country or whether you just want to broaden your horizons, maybe it's always been a dream of you to travel abroad or live abroad. It's not impossible. Many countries do welcome you, but many countries also have different types of things that you need to consider before doing there. Now, I personally specialize in Portugal. However, I have done some research on Spain. I've also done some research on the Caribbean. I've also done some research on Italy, because Italy does have some programs right now that called dollar homes. It's not impossible. It really, really is real. It's really real. But there are many, many, many guidelines, and you may not be getting the house that you think that you're getting for these dollar homes. Okay. Just know that your first point of this is to do your research. Okay. And that's what we're going to talk about first. You want to research your destination thoroughly. You need to understand the culture. You need to understand the language. You need to understand the cost of living. You need to understand the healthcare system. So this is why I say you need to do what I call a discovery trip. You don't want to just say, I'm moving such a found a house and somebody helping me. I get in the house. Let's go. Okay. I found a place to rent. Let's go. You know what? You need to do a discovery trip. That is going to, and I don't mean just going for the weekend. If you can get away and spend anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, and maybe a little longer if you can, to go and really research the area and really see what it looks like. And don't go to the tourist areas. You're going to go to the mom and pop siestas. You're going to go to the mom and pop shops. You're going to understand how their grocery system is set up. You're going to understand how their banks are set up. You're going to understand how the workday is set up. Let me tell you one thing about Portugal. Baby, at 1 o'clock, the alarms go off. Woo, woo, woo. And this is what I call nap time. And things typically stop at 1 o'clock, all the restaurants and all those things, until about 6 o'clock in the evening, because people truly, truly, truly stop and take a break. And that's their main lunch area, lunchtime, right? And everybody is shut down in this, so everybody can go home and take a deep breath before they go back to work. They typically don't even come in until 9 or 10. Then they have lunch. They enjoy that lunch. They take their time eating that lunch, and then they go back to business later. So you need to understand the culture, because here's what I want you to understand in this. Okay, you know, I had the key phrase in the last section, right? Here's your key phrase for this. You keep your American in America. Did that soak in? You keep your American in America. You don't bring it with you, because other countries have different sets of mind. And you need to get into that mind and broaden your horizon. So don't come over with your Karens. Don't expect someone to speak English. Don't expect them to work like you do, because that is not how it works. You are moving abroad to experience new things. And that means putting your American away. All right. So now that you've researched your destination and you've actually visited it for a while, here are some things that you may face when you're buying a home in another country as a foreigner. Number one, there may be restrictions on foreign ownership. There are some countries that will not allow you to buy in their country unless you go through certain procedures or certain hoops, or you're going to promise dual citizenship, or you're going to promise to buy put so much money into their system. These are the things that you need to research. Not all countries will allow you to come and just buy a home in that proper in their country without certain guidelines being hit. You also need to understand that there are complex legal and bureaucratic, I can never say that word, governmental processes. Okay. That means you need to understand what their tax system looks like. What does it look like when you buy a home as an American? Are you going to be extra taxed on that? So that ties into tax implications and costs. Okay. This ties in. You need to understand what that means. Okay, before you move forward. And there's so many references, guys. You can even talk to the local embassy, contact the local embassy in America and see, hey, where can I go to get some information about moving to your country, and what are the guidelines, and where can you point me to do that? Okay, so that's where you start. You start there. You just do a simple Google search a lot of the times, and you'll find if you go to the embassies, they will have the list for you. Okay, there may be financing difficulties, y'all. Some people may not allow you to take a loan out on a property in their country. They want you to come with hardcore cash, baby. All right. They don't want you to tax their lenders. Some places may not allow you to finance. Now, Portugal is one that you can finance, but you need to find a lender that is going to be able to help you with that international understanding. And I suggest you use one that understands the country that you're coming from, along with the country that you're going to. Now, I am currently in the process of vetting several lenders for my business, and I do have two right now that I'm very happy with, and I will be happy to help you if it's a country that you are looking for. I think mine deal with the Caribbean and Portugal and Dubai and Canada. So those things, I am looking and vetting for someone right now who deals with Italy. So it takes time to deal with finding good people, because that's going to be something that you face when you are buying in another country. They don't do real estate like we do in America. A lot of the times they don't even have the MLS system, the multiple listing service. Okay, so you got to scramble to find a house because you don't know exactly where to look for these homes. And a lot of those systems are not set up properly. So 5 people may be listing that same home just trying to get your information. These are the things that you don't want. These are the things that you don't want, because it'll make it confusing, and you want to make sure that you are dealing with the right people. Okay. Now I have a list of places that you can go, and in a follow-up email, I will be happy once you get that free roadmap that I sent you today, and you verify your email and you get that thing. I will send out a list of some places that you can look. But one of them is Idealista. And they do really good in Portugal. However, you must still be very careful, because this is one where people just put in 5 or 6 different listings, and it may not even be theirs. So, but at least it'll give you an idea of what you can see. And sometimes you'll see the same house listed for 2 different prices. Why? Because it's not like Merca. Okay. Over here, they don't have the MLS system. They don't have an appraisal system. So when you're negotiating, you're really negotiating. You're like the house, the seller goes, well, I want such and such because I know that there are many expats coming over here. So let's price it at this. Well, it may not be worth that. But may be willing, if it sits on the market for a while, to say, oh, we weren't so smart. Let's try to sell it. Okay. So there you go. Idealista.pt. Now, Idealista not only deals with Portugal, they deal with Spain as well. And I think also Italy, they have Italy too. So Idealista PT is Portugal. But if you go down to the bottom of the sheet, it will tell you the other countries that they deal with. All right. Places like Remax, Century 21, who are international, Sotheby's, you can look on their site as well. Just be very, very understanding that those agents in the different countries, baby, don't work like the agents in the United States. And let me tell you why. I am an agent. One of my things that I do when I travel is what? I'm going to go look at me some houses, because that's what I do, right? When we came to Portugal, we came on tour. My husband and I were touring and singing up and down Portugal. We went to the Algarve. We went to Lisbon. We went to Porto. We went to Madeira, the island of Madeira. Every place that we went to, I contacted agents and let them know, hey, I'm here and I would like to see some homes. I may be buying here, but I also have clients back in America that may be interested in buying. And can you help me? Crickets, cricket, cricket, cricket. They promise you the moon, but nobody to this day from those people that I contacted, except for 2, bothered to even call me back. And I don't know if it's because they were afraid of English or whatever, but you never know if you don't know, right? They didn't even bother to call me on my email list, but I'm on them email list, but they didn't bother to call me. I called them and left messages. Nobody called me. It wasn't until I met Renato in Nazaré. This is why I'm dealing with real estate in Portugal now, because Nazaré and not Renato and I are like this. That is my business partner. We sell together. I come back and forth. I show you real properties. Renato speaks English. I bring him in and I help you understand the process. So don't expect them to work like you want them to work. What did I say? Put your American way. Okay. Now, I want to still continue to go down this list. You need to also understand the property laws. A lot of people think they can come to countries and buy ruins and fix them up, because that's what the big hot topic is right now. But you need to understand the property laws. If you buy it and you think, okay, I could do that in 10 years. I can fix the property in 10 years if I just buy it. No, they may have rules that say, no, you only have 12 months to fix this property or it comes back to us. Okay, so you need to understand the local property laws. Another thing you need to understand, because this is dealing with your money, what, B1, right? Everybody, this is B1. We talk about money. This is Fly Nubian Money Club, right? Fly Nubian Money Club, right? Okay, you need to understand the exchange rates. American money is not the same in a different country, and it fluctuates. So you need to understand if your American dollar is better in a different country or if it's worse in a different country, because you're going to have to be dealing with wiring money, transferring funds, understanding the economics of exchange rates. All right. You also want to understand the contracts, the closing, and the language. When you buy a property in any country, you're going to sit down at a closing table with whatever country's language that is. If you're in Portugal, that contract's in Portuguese. You have to pay somebody if you're English. Hey, I need this to be in Portuguese and I need this to be in English. And I need a translator to be there at the closing. That's required. Well, I need an attorney at the closing. That's required. So every country is different. So this is why you need to understand the contracts, the closings, the language, what you need to pay for, how you're going to get the money there. And if you're going to just buy that property and still live in America and maybe visit once a year and use that as your retirement, are you allowed to do property management? Are you allowed to have an Airbnb? Because many of these countries now are smacking down on Airbnbs. Portugal is one of them. You cannot come over to Portugal and just buy a property and say it's going to be an Airbnb now. They've cracked down on that. So that may not be a possibility for you. All right, let's move on. You see, I gave you some really good things to think about, right? So now you need to sort your finances. You really need to create a comprehensive budget account for unexpected expenses, like that attorney I told you that you need. Um, Inspectors in some countries, they don't even do inspections, right? You need to also notify your bank and your credit card people that, hey, I'm starting to do business in another country. Please don't put a block on my money. Okay, because they will. You're traveling back and forth, especially if you're traveling and buying in places like Africa, because Africa is one of the countries where they have a lot of corruption with bank accounts and things of that nature. And if you don't notify your bank and your credit cards, they may think something funky is going on. So you need to let them know. So you need to create this budget and get your accounts in order. Now, here's what I need you to consider. Wherever you're moving, you need to open a bank account in that country. That opens up a whole nother set of worms. Okay, because you're going to have to put money in that account. And sometimes you have to put a certain amount of money in that account. And then you have to worry about putting money, American money, in that account and how that account is going to be looked after. Yeah, I'm blowing your mind right now. Now, remember, you always can go back and watch this at flynubianmoneyclub.com. Okay, so don't let this blow your mind. I hope you're excited. I really hope that you're excited about this whole thing, because it's something to be excited about. But don't forget, you can go back and get reminders by watching this again at flynubianmoneyclub.com. Okay, all right, so you've got your money in order. Now what? Get your paperwork in order. I don't mean just the contracts, y'all. You cannot move to another country without following the right procedures. You know that right now in America, everybody talking about getting rid of the immigrants. That ain't the only country, baby. That ain't the only country trying to tell people they need to go home. Mexico is even sending Americans back home. We ain't the only one, because we're not the big daddy of them all. If you don't do this properly, you're going to be facing being sent back home. And why would you buy a home in a country where you may be stuck with that property over there? You can't even get to it. So this is why you contact the embassy. This is why you see what it takes to be able to live in their country. Can you go on a work permit? Do they allow you to move there on a work visa? Do they allow you to be a digital nomad? Do you have the documents and the taxes to show that you can be a good citizen of their country? Are you going to have to learn their language? Don't tell me that you're going to move to another country and you don't learn their language. How disrespectful. Don't do that. Even when you stumble with their language, if they see that you're trying, they get excited. My poor Portuguese is not good. But when they see that I'm there and I'm trying to order my coffee, they get tickled and they help me, right? Are you going to be required to learn their language? A1, A2 of whatever country you're moving to. Portugal is one of those. You must learn their language on a first grade level, A1 and A2. At least be able to tell your name, say hi, where you live. You need a doctor, right? Same thing as Italy, Spain, all these countries, they need you to be good citizens, because now you're a world citizen, baby. You're a world citizen. Take that into account. All right, let's move on to the next slide. There are many different types of visas. And if you go to your embassy, they will explain to you how they work, and they will give you guidelines on what you need to do. So you need to secure the necessary visa. Is it going to get your temporary residency? If you're not going to renounce your citizenship, you'll be a dual citizen for that country, right? So you need to follow their procedures by finding what visa fits for you. There's also like a retirement visa. Like in Portugal, the D7 is a retirement visa, all right? They have digital nomad visa. They have golden visas, where if you come and you invest with $500,000 in either buying a home or some kind of their infrastructure or something, then you're allowed to come over and get a temporary visa. Everything requires paperwork, documents. Get your birth certificate, get your passports, get your visas together, do your tax papers. Okay, they need the tax papers. This is where you get your paperwork together to see which visa you qualify for. All right, let's move on. Finding an agent. Lord Jesus, I tell you because I know. Once you have decided on your destination, you will need to pick an agent. And when you get that good agent, now in Portugal, you know you're calling me. Okay, I got the resources for you here. We're going to find someone in your area in Portugal that I can work with and walk you through this. I am in Nazaré. I got you in Lisbon. I got you in Porto. I got you in Algarve. Those are the major cities. All right. Everything else in between falls in between. I got you, right? But if you are buying in a different country, you need to understand how they work. A lot of the times, these agents who are selling real estate in different countries, a lot of times they only need maybe 1 or 2 deals to live happily for the rest of the year. So they usually only do 1 or 2 deals. So that makes it hard. Are they going to call you back? Do they speak English or do they speak broken English? You need someone that is actually going to understand your language so that you can, not on the beginning level, because this is too important. You're signing documents that you need to understand fully. So when you're finding an agent, you don't want one to be just oh, I may work with you, I feel like it or not. You need to want one that's going to directly communicate with you. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you download WhatsApp. The rest of the world, baby, is working on WhatsApp. Okay, I'm on WhatsApp. I get international calls all the time. WhatsApp. You need to use that because most of the countries use WhatsApp as the main tool of negotiations and talking to people and back and forth and talking to their families even when they're not out of country. Because some of these mobile companies like T-Mobile and all those in America, over here it's different. Their prices are very high for texting and calling. So WhatsApp is free. So most people use WhatsApp. Okay. So once you find that agent, you're going to go back to what I taught you in section 1. Talk to them. How do they communicate? Do you know the area? Do you know English? What's going to happen when I find a house? I'm coming over to do a discovery. Can you show me at least 10 houses when I'm coming over to do a discovery trip? Okay. So those are the same things that go back to our training from the beginning. Okay. This is why I did America First. Now, can you get a loan? Securing a mortgage as a foreigner truly is different than doing it in America. Some places won't allow you to do a mortgage. Some countries don't want you to do a mortgage. They only want you to pay with cash. But there are many countries that do allow you to do a loan, but you need to make sure that your lender understands fully that you are an American and you need to understand the international part of the loan. Okay. Like I said, I work with two. Well, I have 2, and then I have another one I'm working with for Italy. He understands the Caribbean, Canada, United States, Portugal, Dubai. All right. So you need to work with someone. And then also, sometimes you have to work with an attorney. No ifs, ands, or buts. You have to work with an attorney, but you have to understand that the attorney settings in America are a little bit different than like some attorneys. That's what they do. I'm an attorney because I do real estate. Like that's what they do. They don't necessarily do any other type of law. They just do the real estate only. So you also can get representative companies, guys. If you dig into it and you're like, oh my God, this is too much. I don't know how to do all this. This is too much because it is very heavy. You can call a company that will represent you for a fee. They will help you put together your visa paperwork. They will help you to get your visa. They will help you find an agent. They will go home shopping with you. They will help you find an attorney. It's not cheap. But sometimes if it's overwhelming for you and too confusing, it's worth you buying into that program. But you want to make sure that they are legitimate. Because right now, while everybody's talking about moving abroad, there are a lot of companies going, oh, we get this money, right? So no, you want to make sure that you work with a reputable and you can research them and know that you're working with a good company that can help you with that. All right. So let's move on. Please learn the language. A lot of these countries have free courses, just like America, where you can learn the A1 and the A2 level of that country's language. Even a basic knowledge of it will help you in your daily life. Don't go put your American away. Keep your America in America. You came out of that country to learn and grow. So you want to do it properly. Immerse yourself. Go to the coffee shops. Go to the movies. Go to the little fiestas that they have. All right? And don't just assume that they speak English. That's disrespectful. Now, most countries require their citizens when they're in school to learn more than one language. A lot of times it's English, but a lot of times it's also French or Italian. So don't just come and assume that they automatically know your language. And yes, there are Google translators and they help, but don't depend on that. Okay? Make sure you learn, you can get free classes to learn the language. All right, next. Almost done, guys. All right, we're almost done. We're in home stretch. So before we hit this home stretch, I want you to know that you can go back and watch any of this again on flynubianmoneyclub.com. All right, because this is a lot of information and we've gone over stateside and international, and that's a lot. But I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, I forgot everything. Go back to flynubianmoneyclub.com and watch this. Okay. All right. Now that we've gone through that, I want you to really think about if you are ready to move abroad. In the handout that I told you to download, and that's bit.ly / what did I say is move? Okay, wish list. See, talk a lot, you lose a lot of brain cells. Bit.ly / wish list to welcome mat. All lowercase, all lowercase. You'll get the handout for today. Don't forget, when you get the email, you have to go back to your email to approve. Allow me to email you. There's 2-step process to this so that you could get this. The second part of the handout is a quiz. And it's a quiz that I have put together for you to assess your readiness if you are ready to move abroad or not. It's going to ask you some tough questions. And it's going to put you right where you need to figure out where you need to be. Hey, am I ready to move now? Is all my paperwork ready? Hey, let's do this. Or I'm almost there, but I don't quite have everything in order. Let me get back to my research. Or I ain't ready at all. Let's get it together, right? This will help you assess where you are in this process. And let me tell you something. When I was a little girl, I dreamed. I'm a vocalist. My husband's a musician. I dreamed that I would travel the world singing. I'm living this dream. I'm living the dream of singing and visiting countries. I'm living in the dream of back and forth to Portugal. I'm living the dream of being a world citizen. It is not impossible. You just got to get out of your own way. And I get really emotional when I talk about this because you don't have to stay stuck. Are you a digital nomad? Do you work for yourself? Can you pick up and move and experience different countries? Can you go spend 3 months in Thailand? Can you go spend 3 months in Portugal? Can you go spend 3 months in Italy and take your visa, which is a worldwide pass, and visit this world? Do it so that you can have stories for them grandbabies and encourage them to do the same. I am Laura Lala Key. I'm also known as the Real Tea Goddess. I don't take that lightly. And I encourage you to be the light. Whether you're buying at home or you're buying abroad, you are investing in yourself. You're not alone. And if you need to tap into someone else to help you, do so. And that's what you have with us at flynubianmoneyclub.com. We're helping you and uplifting you and cheering you on. So that's what I have for you today. I got it all in our time frame. I appreciate you being here. And I'm so glad you took the time to spend some time with me. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have someone else come back on with me for a few minutes, or if we're going to end right now. But don't forget that you can go to flynubianmoneyclub.com to watch this presentation over again. I want to shout out some people. Thank you, Big Mac, for being here. Darlene, thank you for being here. Ida, thank you for being here. Terry, being here. Oh my gosh, look at all these people. Athena, we have, oh man, look at this. Naomi was here. Lori was here. Oh, Juanita was here asking questions. I am so grateful for you. This is a family, right? Family. So this is what we do. All right, my loves, that's what I have for you today. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of the day and that you have learned something. And if you did learn something, why don't you just give me a little shout out? All right, follow me on all of my social media platforms. Sign up for my newsletters. You'll get links for that too. If you go to bit.ly/Laura Key Info, you'll find all of my social media as well as signing up for the newsletters that I have. I have one for Portugal and I have one for the United States. If you want to learn about areas there, do that. But that's what I have for you. And I'm grateful for you. So, Mrs. Producer, I'm not exactly sure what you would like me to do now. So, thank you for being here. Go back to look at everything in the website. And I am going to see what our next step is, right? I can't hear you.
Come on. I was like so enamored with what happened just now. Um, you all, I hope that you enjoyed. I was so into it. I was like, oh, okay, well, she got it. But I just oh my gosh, such a great you guys. That presentation was amazing. So funny. I was backstage like, ooh, oh, and I think I just got caught up in the rapture of you. So I thank you so much for coming.
Thank
I hope you
you.
all enjoyed it. Listen, you all, this is what you can expect. I saw some people saying that this presentation was excellent, and I knew it would be. Lala is excellent. She is someone that you would want to work with if you want to go and have real estate abroad. I think that this is where you start. You start with my sister Queen over here. She is going to get you together. She's going to get you right. You don't have to worry about being scammed and all of that. So make sure that you reach out to her because if even if she doesn't do real estate in that country, I'm pretty sure she can help you get somewhere, like get where you're
Yeah.
going and provide excellent information
And
moving
it
forward.
may take a little time. So I do want you all to understand that if you do reach out to me and we're in your initial stage of finding you someone, be patient because
Yeah.
we will get you to the right people. I'm not just going to be a signing people stuff and go, here you go. No, I want to make sure that you are taken care of.
Yeah. And then you also said something about just making sure you all make sure that you go to her website, sign up for newsletters. If you need consultation, please, please, please. Let's not just talk about what we want to do. Let's just do it. Let's send the emails. Let's do the thing. Start today. All we have is now. And I'm so I think I'm so so aware of the time of now, in like the present, because, over the holidays, I've been losing family members. And I was just thinking, like, the time is now. The time is
Now,
now, not tomorrow, not waiting till 25, not saying I'm just sit back and it's something I dream of, but I'm not going to do anything yet. Just start getting the ball rolling. You'll get that momentum.
baby,
So,
when you start putting energy into what you want, it may not be like it may not be for you now, but when you put energy into that, things start moving.
it does. It just does. And things that you never knew would come to you start to come to you because that's kind of how God is or the universe is, however you perceive. But that's how it is. Once you just have a thought and you say it, it just seems like it starts to work for you. So, I am so grateful. This is our first training of Fly Nubian Money Club. It is in my intention for the entire the entire year, really, to focus on getting you top experts. You all, for the people that have gone to flynubianmoneyclub.com and signed up, right now we have a free trial. So try us out for 30 days. In 2 weeks from today, I have another top expert coming in who will teach you another topic. And it's going to be fabulous. I'm not going to give you any information right now, but I do have someone that's going to get you ready for tax season. If you are a crypto owner, she also has information about crypto taxes and just making sure that you understand crypto and how to use it and how to file and just loopholes that might be in the tax system that you need for your business or moving forward or for your real estate, right? So there's all these things. So I want to make sure that you have exactly what you need. It's going to be detailed. Juanita, yes. I'm going to make sure these queens are thorough and you have all the information that you need. So if you have not signed up for the Fly Nubian Money Club, for the Fly Nubian Money Club, please do that now. Please do it now. Please
And
do it.
tell somebody.
Yes, tell your friends. Like this is a really big deal, and I want to make sure. Something else that I want to say before you go, because I know that you all have to go because it's Saturday, right? But I want to make sure that we do challenges, that we actually have a community. I will, make myself available to talk to Irma and Juanita and Terrell, whoever it is that comes and joins us. We want to make sure that we are keeping each other accountable. You may be assigned an accountability partner. It's a real community. Like I really want to level up. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I hope that you sign up and you understand that we are not playing in 2025. Actually, the remainder or into 2025. I'm gonna get you ready. So that's all I
exactly
have.
what we need.
Yeah. Final thoughts for you, Lala? Did you have? I mean, you've said so many things, but do you have any final?
I'm just really tickled, and I'm so happy to be a part of this family because that's what it is.
Yeah.
We do have to get ourselves in order and continue to lift one another up because we're not hopeless. Yeah. We're not hopeless. We always have a way to continue to shake off that dirt and move along. And if this is one of your dreams, do it. Because no joke, Tiara said she's had a lot of loss, and so have I. And this is one of the reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing right now, singing across the country, selling real estate in other areas, because you only got one ride around here and you don't know if you have tomorrow or not. That's so right. Set it in motion and go for it.
Yes. Yes. Final thought, you all. Again, I want to make sure that we've answered all of your questions. If you have not, if you have one thought or you have anything that you want to say right now, speak now or forever hold your peace. And we're going to get out of here. Y'all, I'm on the East Coast right now. I'm not at home. I am partying with family members. I had to get away from, like Lala said, we've experienced a lot of loss in the last 2 weeks. So I just came to Pennsylvania to party with my family and enjoy them. But if no one else has any thoughts, any questions for Lala or myself, well, you're going to get out of here. We're going to let y'all go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. We good? Everybody good? Everybody good?
I think so.
You guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And then also make sure that you sign up for flynubianmoneyclub.com. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
I was telling somebody the other day about my therapy experience, and how I explain therapy is in therapy, you can say some of the ugliest, nastiest things out loud. Sometimes it's things that you're thinking. It could be something that you've done that you've never shared, or it could just be something that you're feeling and you feel guilty for feeling that way, but that really is how you feel. And you can work through some of that stuff so that you don't have to carry around that anger or that burden, or there's something you need to release. Therapy does not give you the answer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people think. They think you're going to go to therapy and somebody's going to tell you what to do. And how come you can't figure it out yourself? That's not what therapy does. Therapy allows you to talk through something and find your way to resolve yourself. They just ask you questions. Well, what do you think about that? Well, how does that make you feel? Well, why do you think that you reacted that way? Well, whose fault was that? Well, do you agree with that? And then you get to a place where you're like, but goddamn. It's like an aha moment. And you're like, dang, I never thought about it like that. Or, you know,
Yeah,
it's
sometimes
that.
you need somebody else's perspective, and you can talk it out. Like, it's not like you home talking to your mirror, right? It's really something to that, with them making you really think about the things that you may not have thought about, or all of a sudden making you realize that there's really no guilt in you even asking a question that you feel is important. I can't stress therapy enough. I have been in it. I am in it. And I will always use that tool, because it's not even though journaling is excellent. I love journaling. I do that. I sing when things are together, but it's something about having someone there to help you think out your thoughts out loud. And sometimes the therapeutic thing is you being able to say, well, I don't like that. Well, there's nothing wrong with you vocalizing that. And now you've lifted that burden off your shoulder. We're still going to continue to talk about this, because bullying doesn't just affect our young children. It also affects us as we're adults. We carry it through our life. We still have to carry what I call the bag of shit. You have to really sort through it. It's not something that smells good, looks good, sounds good, nothing, but you still got to sort through it to have a happy life. So we're going to take this short break, and we'll be right back.
Fly Nubian Money is now on Spotify. Yes, yes, yes. We are on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. All you have to do is search Fly Nubian Money, and we will appear. All of our episodes. Make sure that you leave a 5-star rating and reviews, so other people that come along and are looking for a good show to watch, they'll follow us too. If you are interested in being on Fly Nubian Money, sorry, I don't have any spaces. I'm just playing. If you are interested in being a queen or a king on Fly Nubian Money for the day, please reach out to me. I'm at info@realvirtual.net. That's info@realvirtual.net. Also, if you need help with your business, go ahead and send me an email for that too. Okay. I've said enough. Now back to the show.
Do all the things. You know, you've got something to say, right? You know, you want to come on and share your thoughts, right? So it's really easy for you to do. And this is a welcoming place. So as you know, we love to hear your thoughts. We like to talk back to you. We like to hear what you're saying out there. But if you want to be on camera with us, all you have to do is email us at info@realvirtual.net. Now, listen, you know, you watch us every day, but what if you...
But I think the reality is that we pay attention to what's happening with our children. We speak life into our children, and we give them the appropriate praise and response that they're supposed to receive, so that when they go to school, if they have something that's adverse to that or different or not in alignment with what you're saying, then they come to you and say, well, this is what little John said about X, Y, and Z. But you said this. Okay, now let's have that conversation. Let's have that dialogue. But if you're not building your child up and giving them the tools and the resources and the knowledge and the affirming language in your home, then when they go out into the streets, they don't know what's right and what's wrong. And it's easy to take on what the bully is saying, because you don't have anything to fight it with. No affirming language, no life talk, no, maybe not the confidence or the belief that you can go talk to your parents, whatever the case might be. I think that's some of it. I'm thinking about just some stuff that my son went through and dealt with. And if I could do some things different, that's what I would have done. I would have spoken more from a loving space, more from an acceptance space, even though some of what these people were saying was true. I probably should have given a different perspective in the home to be able to give him more strength and guidance in how to deal with those people out there. So that the affirming tone and love at home, so that they can deal with what's going on in the streets.
Right. Tiara, I know you had something to say.
I want to add to what Lene is saying. You are absolutely right, sis. But you know that we can only do so much. So what I decided to do, in addition to us loving on Lauren, we also took her to around people that look like her. My biggest gripe with living in California and raising a child in California is that it's a little too white and a little too liberal for me, right? I live in the valley. I live in the valley, I live in the valley. So there's a lot of white and Latino people, and the school that she was going to was predominantly that. And so what I had to do was I had to take her to Debbie Allen, right? I had to take her to Wendy Raquel Robinson. I had to take her to schools and programs where I knew that there was like this auntie, like Debbie Allen's studio for Lauren as an artist was game changing for us. Not only because Debbie has her hand on those kids, but also like everyone in her academy also kind of echoes and is like Debbie. They feel like it feels like an auntie. So I needed that, even though we couldn't get auntie in a, you know, and because my family is not in California, we had to get auntie where I could get auntie. I said, oh, well, let me just take her where she gets art, but then she also gets community. So if it wasn't me saying, Lauren, don't do that, it's Debbie Allen saying, Lauren, take that out your, you don't talk to her like that. Game changer. Game
Right.
changer. And being around kids that were excellent like that. Being around, because if what the mother said was, um, the peers at this point are the most important. Your peer perception, what your peers think of you shape your perception of yourself. There's nothing I could tell her. You know, there is, obviously there is, but I'm saying that the student, you know, the people that she's around every day, the kids that she's around every day makes the biggest difference at this age. So I just had to get her around some kids that was like, listen, I want to be on television. I want to be productive. I want to be amazing. I want to work.
Office is also open for everybody who lives here too. So if you also need to vent, you can just go to her office and just talk to her.
I think if I ever did have a therapist, I wouldn't have it be my mom. I'd have it be somebody else.
So you're gonna talk about me to somebody else?
Yeah.
Not to me.
I think you should know that mom changes her mindset. She changes it less from being a mom to being a therapist.
I mean, look at what's happening. Usually around this time of the year, this house is bustling full of people. Relatives I haven't seen since last Christmas, that's when they come around and we get to see each other. When in my family, when you come into the room, you have to give everybody a hug and a kiss. Like, family gatherings is just not even possible right now because that's changed. If you've lost a loved one during the year, like, this is really difficult. Like, you're used to having Aunt so-and-so there and they're not going to even be around. You can't even call them on the phone. So you really start missing your loved ones. Not to mention people have lost their jobs. People are in a financial crunch. And so that makes things really, really stressful. People are doing things differently than how they used to do it. Now, if you're a person who is dealing with a mental health issue, this sort of change can be really off-putting and it can really set you off. And so in my office, I've been working with people and planning on how to deal with this sort of change. I think the best thing to do is to first just recognize how you feel. You know, just say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Things are different. And a lot of times people, just by talking out your problems, a lot of times just me saying, oh, okay, just me saying that, at the end of the conversation, they'll figure their own problem out on their own and they'll be like, oh, I feel really good now, doc. Thank you for talking to me for a whole hour. And sometimes I'll just nod because people need an opportunity to vent. They need an opportunity to really get it all out. I think It's a Wonderful Life. It's my favorite. I could watch that movie over and over again. It's just the beauty of it with the angel and the little girl in the end. That's my favorite. So, Taylor, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Santa Baby.
Yes!
Santa Baby with... Oh, okay, we gotta find it. Nicole, what's yours?
The Grinch.
How did I know you would say? Okay. Quincy, I know yours.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Polar Express.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say it.
No, I wasn't gonna. Oh, you wanna say it together? 3, 2, 1. Polar Express. Let me tell you, that movie came out, Polar Express came out when Quincy was 4 years old. And I was working on my dissertation and he was a real active little kid. And I sat in the bed, and I said, I gotta get this paper done. I don't know what to do with this little boy. And I was by myself because my husband at the time traveled for work. And I remember sitting in the bed and Quincy would be up. I popped him popcorn and we watched Polar Express about 2 or 3 times over and over again while I was working on my dissertation. And that is my association with Polar Express. And you couldn't tell Quincy, he was not on that train. He was like, love that movie.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? Happy Sunday. I am Dr. Alicia with Coaching with Dr. Alicia. I just want to welcome all of you all to the Dr. Alicia Healing Haven Book Club. Looks like there's a little bit of a lag on my internet, but it doesn't matter. We're going to keep going. Today, we are going to finish up chapter 2 of How to Be an Adult in Relationships. It's the 5 keys to mindful, very demure, very cutesy type of loving. And it's by David Richo. He is such a wonderful therapist, and he's been practicing, look like 50 years he's been practicing. And I've been practicing for 20 years. I've been a licensed therapist. It has to be 21 years now. Thank you, Joseph. It has to be 21 years. Still eating. We just had dinner. I can't believe we had a big old dinner, and then you got junk food. Okay. He said hello. But isn't that something? Your candy. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'll see you. Yeah, baby. All righty. Anyway, we just finished eating dinner, so I'm surprised he's still eating. We had a big plate of food today. Anyway, so we're finishing up chapter 2 of this book. So that means that next week we're going to start chapter 3. And chapter 3, y'all, is all about how to find a partner. And that's going to be kind of fun. So we're going to put chapter 2 to rest. And then we'll start chapter 3 next week. I am coming in next week because I have no travel, nothing going on next week. Anyway, so we're going to start. The author of this book, he ends every chapter. So the ending of chapter 1 and the ending of chapter 2, he puts into place practices, things that you can do to help heal, and things that you can do to help you learn how to interact with individuals in a way that's healthy. And I think that's the whole point of this series. He recommends, although he didn't come out and say it, but he recommends that you start a journal. As you go through this book, he recommends that you have a journal and that you go through certain steps and processes in your journal. So today, what we're going to do to close up chapter 2, I'm going to go over all of the different activities, journal activities that the author recommends that we need to do to develop yourself. So I say, everybody, get your journal out. And we went over this, half of this. We went over a couple of the activities last week. And by the way, if you want to view some of the previous material, you can look at the show notes, and there's links to chapter 1 and chapter 2. So all of you all who are just joining and you don't have the book yet, don't worry. You can go and watch my other videos. I read from the book, but in addition to reading from the book, I also kind of break it down and I kind of throw in my thoughts and ideas about it. And so today, what we're going to do is go through all of the practices that the author is recommending that you do in your journal. And then we will next week continue with chapter 3. So I want to say hello to everybody. Hi, Ronald. How you doing? Good evening to you. Hello, Joseph. It is a nice book. Hi, Rhonda. Rhonda was in here early. Maya. Hello, Maya. How you doing? Maya Bowen. Nice to see everybody in here. You can say hello in the chat. I'll shout you out as much as I can. Neutral Sovereignties Corp. I love that. Love that name. Chalet, how you doing? Okay, cognitive warfare. That name sounds familiar. I love that. Cognitive warfare. You know, that's really great name you got there. That's really what this book is about. This book is about cognitive warfare. It's about reclaiming your mind. And there is a war going on for your mind. And this is about us reclaiming your mind. Moments with LJ. Oh, how you doing? Lori Victory Boyd. Lord, Victory Boyd. I voted for her, by the way. Y'all check out Victory Boyd. I voted for her so she can get this award. She's up for an award, international award. And I was on her Instagram earlier this weekend, and I voted for her. She's an amazing voice, an amazing person. She is an amazing person to write all that music. But anyway, let's get down into it. What we're going to do is go over the practices. So I talked about some of this last week. So I will start right after Heroic Journey. We're going to start on page 73. And I want to review the practices. So number one, in your journal, what the author is asking for you to do is to think about the important people in your life. And he wants you to go through mentally and do these mental checks in your journal about who is safe and who is not safe in your life. And it's very important to identify the people that you're in constant communication with, constant contact with on a daily basis. Hopefully it's not just work related. I'm imagining there's people in your family, some of your friends that you're in contact with. And what the author is recommending that you go through a process where you check to see who is safe and who is not safe in your life. And he's asking certain questions. Can I chance being myself and let love happen with you, right? These are questions he wants you to either think about it with yourself, or if you are safe enough, bringing it up with the people who are important to you, particularly if you're married, if you have a spouse, you should ask these questions. And not only ask these questions of your partner, but have your partner listen to you answer some of these questions as well. Can this relationship provide a zone of security where the submerged parts of me can surface? What are your insecurities? What are the things that you feel uncomfortable about, or things you were teased, usually things you were teased about in high school, or, you know, certain insecurities that you have. A lot of it comes out in high school, and things have happened to you when you were growing up, things you've experienced that you may feel embarrassed about, things that you submerge about yourself. You mask some of these, and they could be insecurities. Can you talk about these things with a safe person? So that's the very first practice he's asking, because not everybody is safe, and not everybody can give you the safety that you need for you to open up. And it's important to kind of assess what you're doing. The second item that he wants you to talk about is about mirroring. Well, we talked about mirroring a few weeks ago. You can check that out. But he is saying in your journal to ask your partner, can you help me in my efforts to get back on track? When you have this trusted person, can you lean on them to help you develop into the best person that you can be? And can you give them permission, so to speak, to just say, you know, this situation was uncomfortable for me. I experienced bullying, or I experienced an embarrassing situation with me. And these are some things that I'm struggling with. And a lot of the practice I work with couples, we talk a lot about how did that person trigger you? What is it with that person that triggered you to react in such a strong way that you did? And a lot of this is the basis of healing and to understanding each other a little better. And I got to tell you, I mean, this is the reason why I think there is nothing like your spouse or the person that you are in a relationship with. I don't think that can be compared to anything. And I know there's some ways of thinking where people believe that how you interact with your partner, you should give that same level of interaction with a boss or with a colleague or with a subordinate. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that there is a comparison between an interpersonal relationship, somewhere where there's intimacy there. I don't think there's a comparison there. So the person that you decide to get married to, the person you decide to settle down with, that relationship is like in nothing else, right? So I really do. I really do think that that relationship is unique. And this is why having these conversations, do I sometimes trigger you into feeling something I couldn't bear to feel, so that you can help me identify it and then hold it with me? You don't have that level of intimacy with anybody else, right? So that's sort of my thinking there. Okay, the next thing or challenge, I call them challenges or exercises that he recommends that we do. The third one is adult seeking. And with this, he's saying that sometimes we come into a relationship or we come into a situation where we're just kind of lacking. You know, there's certain qualities or needs that we want to get fulfilled. And no matter what happens, no matter where it comes from, we always seem to feel a little empty. So he's saying, you know, if you fear loneliness, if that's the fear deep down inside that you're going to be lonely, you know, why would you get married? There's a bottomless pit that comes along with that. So he wants you to be able to think about this in your journals. Can I receive a moderate amount of attention and be happy with it? Because it's unrealistic to think that somebody can just shower you with attention forever, right? So, but it's important to set aside special time for attention and for allowance and for all of the things that you need in a healthy relationship. But at some point, you're going to have to fill it up yourself. So he's asking you the second thing to do that. The third task is to do that. The next challenge that he gives people is you have to face certain options in yourself. So what he wants you to do in your journal is to think about, how are you progressing in certain scenarios? Are you acting as an unmirrored inner child in all of the ways in which it possesses you? So what, in my mind, how I like to think of it is, do you respond in a way where you're responding as a hurt person, a hurt little child, or are you responding to life in a way where your pain has been processed? Okay, so that's how I like to see it. Is it the hurt child talking, or is it the adult talking? An adult means no matter what pain you went through or whatever happens to you, you've processed it and you can go forward in life as an adult, right? So here's his challenge. You write this in your journal. Do you seek relationships that mirror and build trust? Okay, that's the healthy adult. Or do you seek relationships that fail and mirror that breaks trust? You know, are you seeking relationships and not picking up that this person is not trustworthy? Are you trying to get trustworthiness out of somebody that could never give that to you? You know, are you in denial, living in denial because you can't face the pain of understanding that the person that you're with right now is not even capable of giving you what you need, right? So are you seeking out relationships that is doomed from the beginning because the person wasn't very trustworthy? Why did you ignore the red flags? That's what I think he's saying in here. When you ignore the red flags, you're putting your emptiness ahead of what you know is best for you, right? So so that's you operating as a hurt child. Okay. So the second thing, I think there's a little bit of a delay, but I'll keep going. The second task is, do you understand that trauma is a bridge, right? Or do you experience trauma as only an obstacle, right? So is it an obstacle you can't get through, or is it a bridge to make sure that you can overcome something, right? He's also asking, do you recover from the past and move beyond the pain? So moving beyond the pain and recovering from the past, or are you on an unconscious level repeating the past and clinging on to the hurt and pain? So he's asking you to write these down. Ooh, it takes a lot of honesty to get to this point, to be able to honestly answer these questions about you and your relationships. In your relationships, how does this fit your experiences? Do you wish to transcend an experience, or do you feel compelled to reenact an experience, right? Do you want to, because when you reenact an experience, you are just continually replaying something so that you can master it, not by dealing with the pain, but by looking ahead and saying, I want to try to master this, so I'm going to replay it over and over again. Or are you the kind of person that says, you know what, instead of repeating this cycle, this trend that happens all the time, I'm going to stop. I'm going to look back and I'm going to figure out, how can I transcend this experience by working through the pain? Okay, so that's what he wants you to put in your journal. And lastly, are you the kind of person that expects relationships to succeed? Do you go into relationships expecting it to succeed? Are you expecting success out of your relationships, or are you going into a relationship and you're just like, this won't last? And my wonderful illustration of this is something that Cam Newton said. He said, my fear of getting divorced is greater than my fear of being married, right? So, or, he's scared he may get a divorce, and that fear overrides his ability to even get in a relationship and commit himself to someone. So this is the Cam Newton example, because if you're going into a situation and you feel deep down inside that I can't trust this person, that this person is going to deceive me, that this is going to end horribly, that's enough fear to make it so that I don't trust myself. I don't trust my judgment. I do not trust that I have the ability to pick the right person for me. And the reality is that you do. You know how to pick the right person for you. You can't make a mistake. And even if the relationship doesn't work out, which often sometimes it does, it's okay. Sometimes people come in and out of your life, and sometimes it's not meant to last forever, unfortunately. But you don't go into it knowing that it's not going to last. There is a possibility that it will last, but you have to kind of deal with a lot of things, have these expectations, because there's a self-fulfilling prophecy that goes into it. Don't get married if you just feel like nothing, I'm going to get divorced anyway. So I really think that it's important that we look at these things. And this is what this author is suggesting that all of you all do in your journals. The next step he wants you to do in your journal is self-care. Come on, y'all got to have a self-care plan. Self-care does not cost money either, by the way. My self-care plan, most of the time, because I'm so freaking busy sometimes, my self-care plan is a bubble bath. You could go to the dollar store and buy a bubble bath in a dollar store. And if you don't have $1, I don't know what to say, but I soak in the bathtub. I don't know if I'll do it tonight, but I spend a lot of time shutting out the world and taking time to invest in myself, particularly if it's been a long day. So yeah, I soak in the bathtub. So the next one is talking about your self-care plan, making sure that that you just take care of yourself, and that's always important. The next step that he writes in his journal, I did talk about this last week, is refusing abuse, we don't need to talk about it. Nobody deserves to be emotionally, psychologically, or physically abused, particularly physically abused. And of course, if there's any physical abuse happening, that is illegal. It's not illegal to psychologically and emotionally abuse another person, but it is illegal to physically abuse another person. It's also illegal to financial abuse is also illegal, by the way. Can't be taking people's money without their knowledge. So some forms of financial abuse is illegal, and people can go to jail. You can prosecute them for that. But outside of all of that, you have to set some boundaries, right? Sometimes you can work with the person that you're with and say, I'm not going to tolerate this, right? You can work with someone and talk to someone about it. But you know what? Another thing you can do is that you could just leave, I did talk about how I work with a lot of people who are worried about upcoming holidays. And I could just say, well, what is your boundary? Sometimes you need to make your boundaries very clear to the other person. I have boundaries. Once we start getting into this type of conversations, it's uncomfortable for me. Or if you're in a situation, there's no need to judge anyone. There's no need to do any of that. You just pluck yourself out of that situation, put your coat on and leave. No one stops you. We're all adults here, right? This is not for children. This is an adults here. You can go to your room. You can close the door. You can say, this conversation is over. It takes two people to have a conversation. What I don't recommend is yelling and arguing, and that's not healthy, right? I do recommend healthy behavior. And of course, calling a therapist if you need help with that. I think abuse is very serious. I think psychological abuse is just as damaging as even physical abuse sometimes, right? And so we just don't tolerate those types of instances. The next thing he is bringing up here in terms of practices, and I use a lot of this in my practice, he's talking about you got to reverse these messages, right? Sometimes you need to get into the self-talk. What do you tell yourself? What is it that you say to yourself? And then you need to kind of get into it and just get into it. He says, most of us have internalized messages by which we judge and insult ourselves. And a lot of those messages were given to us. We agreed to them on some unconscious level. We agreed to it, and it seeps into us, and we think subconsciously that there's something wrong with us. And he's saying you need to reverse this. You need to identify it. You need to be able to, I like to, in my practice, point to who told you these things. This person lied to you, because I know, as well as all therapists I talk to, I know that the basic goodness is the core of all of our being. Even the people we label narcissistic, the people we label as toxic, I understand, even as a therapist, that is a hurt child, that sometimes we operate from a place of pain and hurt. And it could be, I can't pay attention to you empathizing with you. I can't pay attention to having even sympathy for you because I never received it, right? So I do believe in the basic goodness. And I love this part of the book because he talks about how love is all around us. It all depends on what you pay attention to. And I'm gonna pause a little bit here because there's some thoughts coming up for me. There's so many of us who believe that we live in a dangerous world. How many of you guys believe that? Keaton, do you believe it? I see you, Keaton. How many of us believe that we live in a world that's dangerous? How many of you think, oh, we live in such a dangerous world? How many of you all don't believe that, right? Ask yourself. Some people believe that all relationships are about control. Some people believe that as soon as I step my foot outside my house, I'm in a war zone, right? Some people really have these beliefs, and I kind of question people like Ronald. Yes, we believe that the world is dangerous. Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. I believe we live in the world of sex. Yes, okay, Keaton, I believe I live in the world of sex. Yes. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. The world that we live in is up to our choosing. If you walk outside and you think that the world we live in is somehow sexual, then everything you run into is going to be filtered through the sexual lens. Keaton. If you believe, like I think maybe Ronald is saying, that we live in the world that's dangerous, then everywhere you go, you're going to find and seek out danger. It really is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You can reverse this message of fear, right? I believe we live in the world of peace. Like Kevin is saying, okay, blessings, peace, and prosperity. Maybe that's how I see the world. I see the world as blessings. I see the world as peaceful. I see the world as prosperous. I'm with Kevin. That's how I choose to see the world. And I guarantee you, I've said this to people, and I know people really, look at me like I'm crazy. But, I have said to people, I've never been in a fight. Never. I'll talk to people about it. I was talking to my husband about it. Not one time has anyone ever punched me. No one has ever. I've never gotten into a physical fight with anybody. I am 50 years old. I turned 50 this year. I have never in my life been in a fight because fighting is not my world. But I know people who see fighting as their world and they fight all the time. I've never been in a physical fight. Yeah, so Irma brings up a good point. The children who were victims of school shootings thought the world was a safe place. The world still is a safe place. Like, think of it now. We are way more safe than we've ever been in the entire history of this world. The history of this world. We are safer now than we've ever been. That's a fact, by the way. We are, not only are we safer right now than we've ever been in the whole history of the world, but we're also live longer, we live healthier. The way we live right now, if we lived like this hundreds of years ago, I don't even think the most prestigious people lived as good as what we live now. And even think about poverty. Poverty in this country is nothing like poverty in a third world country. If y'all been to a third world country, poverty here is nothing. Most people in third world countries or developing nations, their poverty is they don't have lights and running water. Most people who would consider to be poor, they got cell phones. So it's all relative. It's all relative to who you compare yourself to. But the reality is, and y'all can look it up, we are safer now than we've ever been in our entire life, and we need to appreciate that. So our world is safe. But it's what you see it, and there's ways to reverse it. You can meditate. Love is all around us. I love this quote on the bottom of page 77. Love is all around us. I encourage all of you guys to y'all get this song called Love Surrounds You. It's by a group called Bird Tribe. Y'all get that book, get that song. Love surrounds you, and start listening to it, meditate to it. And love will surround you. It will happen. You can program yourself and you can reverse these messages. And I'm saying that because that's the way I live. I live that way. A little bit of a delay here, but that's okay. We're going to keep going. Love surrounds you. Get that song, download that song. Love Surrounds You by Bird Tribe. Get them people they download credit, okay? Because that's a beautiful song. Okay, so next he talks about, after reversing the messages, allowing both sides. Yeah, so the next piece that he wants you to do in your workbook or your journal is to allow both sides. I really like this because this is almost like, how many of you guys are familiar with The Hermetic Principles. How many of y'all familiar with the Hermetic Principles? Y'all download, y'all can get a PDF. Just do a basic internet search, download the Hermetic Principles, and y'all read it. It's not a very long document. I do recommend that you read it. It is how the world works. Thank you, Maya. God is love and he is omnipresent. Yes. And I love the God in you, Maya, and all of you all. So that's what it is. There's a God force in us. If I got to talk about God on a Sunday, but there's a God force in us. And that's what I'm talking about. Tapping into that. Thank you, Maya. That was golden. So the Hermetic principle, one of the Hermetic principles is that what goes up is going to come down. What goes left is always going to go right. What comes around is always going to go around. These are the Hermetic principles. It is the foundation of how the world works. So if you want to know how the world works, get the Hermetic principles. And he is talking about you're going to have painful experiences. You're going to also have joyous experiences. And he's asking you to write about it in your journal. Will there be losses in my life? Yes, there will. I've been there and back. Will there be a wonderful gain? Yes, there's always going to be gains. You're always going to lose. You're always going to fail. And that's the whole point of it. I want y'all to get this song. This is the second song, number 2. I want y'all to download. It's called, I wrote it down here, Good Days. The name of the song is Good Days. And it's by this white lady. And bless her heart, I met her. She's a beautiful soul. Her name is Luki. L-U-K-I. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. I've never introduced myself to her. I never said, hi, I'm Alicia. How you doing? Her name is Luki. L-U-K-I. And the name of her song is Good Days. Listen to that song. Meditate to that song. I want you to meditate to Love Surrounds Us. Love Surrounds You by Bird Tribe. And meditate to Luki, Good Days. And that song is very powerful because she's saying in that song, there are good days, there are bad days, but I'm going to be okay no matter what. So it could almost be a gospel song, but it's not. It's like folky, but she's saying, you know, sometimes things are unfair and that's just how life is, but it'll be okay. So you got to get that song Good Days. And she sings about it washes over me like waves. And that's how life is. Sometimes good things happen to you, that washes over you. Sometimes painful things happen, that washes over you, and it's okay, right? So let me tell y'all, download that song, give that white lady her download credit, and the conversations that we're having right now in this moment transcends race, okay? Because this white lady she's writing about our science, the science of Black people. I don't know if she realizes that that's what she's doing, but we have got to get back to, I really do believe that us as Black people have got to get back to who and what we really are originally. And sometimes you have to transcend race in order to get there. And so give this white lady her download credit because she is amazing. And I met her in person. I've spoken to her. I've sat with her. She does spiritual stuff, a lot of spiritual stuff. And she's an amazing, beautiful soul of a woman. So anyway, all of her music is fantastic, by the way. But if you want to get into how to allow both sides to come through to you, get into Luki, L-U-K-I, Good Days. There's good days, there's bad days. It washes over me like, you know, like a wave. Anyway, I can't talk about that enough. But anyway, so let's move on. So I'm kind of summarizing for all of you all who are just joining me. I'm summarizing the end of chapter 2 of How to Be an Adult in Relationships. It's the 5 keys to mindful loving. This is how you do it. So I'm going through the ending of chapter 2. He gives out some practices and some things that you need to do in your journal. So y'all got to keep a journal. He's talking about some things that you need to do. The next step that he talks about is being aware of fulfillment. I really love this. He's saying that in your journal, he wants you to list specific ways the 5 basic needs: attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. He wants you to write out in your journal where, when you were growing up, where has each of those 5 things been neglected? Where has each of those 5 things, when you have been growing up, has been fulfilled? So, did you get the attention you felt like you needed when you were a child? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Okay, sometimes it's different for everybody. Everybody has a specific level of attention. But do you feel like the adults who raised you, who were around you growing up, did they give you the attention that you felt like you needed? Yes, no, write about it in your journal. Did you feel accepted? Did you feel accepted, or did you feel like people were judging you? Did you feel appreciated, or did you feel unappreciated, growing up? Did people appreciate you, right? Did you get affection? Did your mama hug you? Did your daddy hug you? Did you get hugs and kisses when you were growing up? Or do you feel like it was unfulfilled in some way? And were you allowed to be and to say and to think and to feel everything that came to you? Or were you often shut down? So write that in your journal and write about that. And he wants you to say, once you write this down, since these 5 needs are also central qualities of love and support, list what you have been looking for in adult relationships. I'm almost certain they're connected to some of the things that you feel like you're missing. Things I missed at home. I know that's Boyce and I, that's one of our favorite songs by, oh God, I can't remember who it's by, but there's a song about that. He's asking, are your most desperate needs the very ones that went unfulfilled in your childhood? Ask your partner, ask people around you, are you good at receiving and responding to their own needs? So he's challenging you to reach out to the people who are close to you and ask them, do you feel like I give you enough attention? Do you feel like I give you enough acceptance? Do you feel like I give you enough appreciation, affection? And do I allow you to be who and what you are? If you have an honest conversation with the people around you about how you're doing, it's so important that you don't shut them down. Don't argue with them. Don't go, I don't know what you talk about. Don't get offended. Just be mindful and write it down. List what it is. No arguing. And I really do. I have a prediction. Here's my prediction. My prediction is that all of the things that all of the things that you felt like you did not receive when you were a child, I'm interested to see where in your current life do you feel like people think that you aren't giving them what they need, right? Some people say, I feel like my parent didn't give me the attention that I feel like I needed as a child. So I want to make sure that when I have children, I want to be able to give them the attention, that's always so. But on the other hand, there are some people who feel like because they didn't receive acceptance when they were growing up, sometimes they can't give acceptance to other people. So maybe if they felt judged as a child growing up, they can fast forward when they're an adult interacting with their own children, that maybe perhaps their own children feel judged because you grew up being judged. I don't know. I just really think that it is an enlightening experience. This particular exercise, I absolutely love it. And as a matter of fact, I think I may steal this exercise because I may actually use this in an upcoming retreat. I'm thinking about, I have a team of people. I have a new team of people. I had an old team, but now I have another group of people that I'm working with. I'm thinking about doing a retreat about this. So I may do a retreat surrounding some of these things, but it's in the works. And y'all, planning retreats and planning things like the All Black National Convention and stuff like that, it takes a lot of work. So hats off to anybody who even attempts to put stuff like this together. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of resources to put these things together. Anyway, all right. So being aware of fulfillment. Oh, yes. Okay, Irma wants me to repeat. In this book, on page 79, list specific ways that these needs were fulfilled or neglected. It was attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. And I talk about that in chapter 1. So you can go back to the videos in chapter 1 and I go into what they all look like. But you kind of know what attention means. Like, do people give you attention, or are they always on their phone, or always, half listening to you, So, so yeah, so you can use those. Okay, what is this? Yeah, okay, moments must have played moments. You must have planned something in your life. Planning events take a lot of work. It's a little overwhelming, I ain't gonna lie. But the thing is that I have this like desire to do retreats, and every time I try to get rid of it, the idea just keeps sticking into my head. So I feel like I have no choice but to do it. But it takes a lot of work. Anyway, Keaton over here talks about giving all his attention. I'll give you all my attention. Look at Keaton over here. Keaton is a lover boy. Was Keaton the one that talked about? Wait, it wasn't Keaton. Who talked about I see sex everywhere? Was that Keaton? I can't remember. Anyway, look at Keaton. That's good. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving along. In case you guys are just joining us, it's about 8:15. Let me just let you know, we are reading from How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Richo. I'm talking and going through what he lists as activities that he expecting everybody to do in your journal. So he's listing a bunch of activities, and we just have 1, 2, 3, 4 more left, okay, for today. Okay, the next thing he wants you to do in your journal is to think about where you have holes, finding the holes. So I don't know. I like this because I play a lot of bid whiz. I'm from Gary, Indiana, so you can't be from Gary and not know how to play bid whiz. I grew up, my family plays bid whiz. My cousins, they play bid whiz. They've won like bid whiz tournaments and stuff, so they're really good. I don't like playing with them because they're too good. No one can beat them. But when you play bid, y'all ever play bid whiz? When you play bid, you have to actually bid how many books you can make past 6 in your hand, right? And you have a partner, right? So hopefully your partner, once you win the bid, hopefully your partner has your holes, right? You play all big and bad, and then if you win the bid, then you have to deliver. So that means and there's a kitty in there that helps you out. So you can pull the kitty up. So you have an advantage going in playing bid if you win the bid, but you also need to rely on your partner. Bid whiz is like spades, moments with LJ. Bid whiz is kind of like spades, but it's like spades, but way more interesting to me. So it's saying that you have a hand, you also have a kitty to help you out. So you got helpers along the way to help you get your bid, but ultimately you're going to need your partner to come through for you, right? But sometimes you have holes and sometimes your partner can't help you, right? So that's what I think of when I think of finding the holes. So this is a metaphor for finding the holes of what's going on with you, right? This is what the author is saying. It is painful for us to find ourselves fully. We avoid the holes that were left in us by disappointments of early life and adult relationships. So when we compare that to Bidwiz, you're dealt a hand, and maybe the hand that's dealt to you is similar to your parents, the family members you grew up with. That's the hand that's dealt to you, right? And sometimes you got a strong hand, which means you have a really healthy family. And sometimes your hand is weak. You're like, I can't be at nothing. I got nothing in this hand. I got a bunch of losers. So to speak, maybe you're dealt a hand where you have a family member, which could be, I don't believe in labeling people as a loser, but giving you the 5 A's that you need, which is attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. Maybe you were dealt a hand from God, from your family, right? You have no control of it. It's just shuffling the cards and you passing them out, right? Okay, so that is the disappointments of early life. Some of us were not dealt a wonderful hand. Some of us were dealt better hands than others, but that's okay, because you know what? You got the kitty. The kitty helps you. You win that bid, you got the kitty. And I think the kitty is almost like you yourself. The kitty is kind of like things in yourself that you can draw upon to help you overcome, right? But at the same time, you have adult relationships. And in those adult relationships, that's your partner. Your partner sometimes can fill the holes, but sometimes your partner can't fill the holes. Your partner's like, I do not, I don't have a big joker. Who got the big joker? I don't have it. So that's the thing. I really think that we need to really understand here exactly what hand that we're dealt, what we have in terms of the kitty to help us get through things, and then what we can rely on our partner to help. But what this book is saying is that the disappointments of early life, what you were dealt with, and adult relationships, your partner, there's always holes and you feel disappointed. But we launch ourselves into them and through them. Here is an empowering experience, practice, to be done in a quiet, meditative way. Here are things that we can do in a meditative way. Number 1, find the holes in yourself, the places where the 5 A's have been unfulfilled. Find them, actively look at them. Number 2, think of all the times you've tried to fill the holes with someone or something. Usually it's with someone and something. Usually it's like an addiction, right? Number 3, make a commitment to climb into the scary craters and sit in them on your own with no attempt to fulfill them. The only tools you bring in with you are the 5 A's. Right? Simply stay in each of your deficiencies attentively, acceptingly, appreciatively, and affectionately, fully allowing it to be there. Let it be there, right? Without protest, shame, or blame. The 5 A's are the only true fulfillment of the needs. By giving them to yourself, you are healing wounds you received because you didn't get them from others in your past. This is this is going to be an activity for my retreat. I guarantee you, we're going to be doing some of these things and processing some of these experiences. He's also saying that once you realize what those holes are, that you need to stay with your empty places again and again. You will gradually see them open into lively spaces. Our gaps are not covered or canceled, but exposed by the 5 A's. Oh, and he's going back to Alice in Wonderland because we talked about Alice in Wonderland a few weeks ago. How it's really a metaphor of self-discovery. So y'all check out that movie, Alice in Wonderland. Again, you got to give it to Disney. Give it to Disney. Disney knows how to write some really powerful children's stories. Alice, by herself, she followed the white rabbit into a hole that led into parts of herself that were confused and scary. She was scared the whole time. What's going on? Why did I shrink down? What's happening? She was confused the whole movie, really. Ask yourself if your various partners were meant to be just such rabbits that kindly tried to show you the way into your deepest self. That is your eyes open, your open heart. Now you are finally willing to enter. So he's saying, go down that rabbit hole, explore, find out who and what you are metaphorically down that rabbit hole by doing these exercises. This is all about self-discovery. That's pretty heavy. I think it's tough to do. This is tough to do, but you can do it in your journal, and you can always burn it once you're done if you feel that embarrassed by some of the things that you feel like you were lacking in your life. Okay. He also talks about witnessing your pain. Early or throughout life, your partner or you may have suffered abuse or betrayals or hurt. Early or throughout life, your partner or you may have suffered abuse or betrayals or hurts. Offer your partner the experience of mindful witnessing of the pain that still remains. Come on, men. I'm challenging men to do this. Do this with your partner, right? Mindful witnessing means listening with complete attentiveness, acceptance, allowing, affection, and appreciation to what the other person reveals and to the feelings behind the person's story. If you ever are in a position where you have a child or a spouse who feels like they want to open up to you, just sit there and watch. Come on. And whenever Dr. Boyce, to you guys, whenever he feels like he needs to get something off his chest, I'm so excited because he doesn't talk that much, believe it or not. So usually I say, what's on your mind? What's happening? And I just button it up and I just let him go, right? He tells me things that he wouldn't say to anybody else, right? And I'm a safe person. I'm not going to bring it up in an argument, or if I get mad at him or something, I'm not going to bring it up. It's going to be confidential. But I love when he opens up and I thank him. You got to thank the other person. Thank you so much for opening up to me. Just because I'm married to you doesn't mean that you have to open up to me. So I appreciate it. I do say that. There must be something about me that makes you feel safe enough to open up to me. So I make sure that I spend a lot of time and effort creating this type of atmosphere for him. And you guys need to do that for each other. As a mindful witness, you do not give advice or try to fix anything, but simply take in what is said and felt in a respectful and encouraging way. Keep what is said completely confidential. Completely. Don't tell your best friend. Don't tell your mama. Can't tell your mama everything, right? And do not talk about it with that person. Don't even talk about it unless the other person asks you to bring it up. Yeah. One caution. Do not try this if one of you feels unready to face the pain. Okay, you have to be ready for it. For the practice may bring up pain that has been repressed and controlled for years. Yeah, you don't want to open Pandora's box for things that have happened that can be really challenging, right? But whatever it is, it's confidential. You lock it in a vault, and hopefully that person will open up to you and share with you some more. This is how we have healthy relationships. Kevin, problem is several women have unsafe to open up to. For me, one time was one too many. Yeah, so Kevin, that's why you got to go to the first exercise, Kevin. Checking for safety. You got to check for safety. You got to check for making sure that you're with somebody who's adult enough to handle what you got to talk about, right? So Kevin, you bring up something really wonderful. You got to check for safety. That's the very first practice he asked for. So that is a problem. And if you find someone that you're not safe with, do not open up to them, right? Work on trying to find a mate who you feel comfortable with and not your enemy, right? Someone that you can feel safe with. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. Kevin is a male name, so I guess he's a guy. And a lot of men are vigilant. A lot of men are very vigilant of trying to find someone they feel safe with. Look at Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda. Dr. Boyce looks amazing since your marriage. Yeah, he's an amazing person on the inside. He really is. And we got to get it on the outside too. But yeah, that's my guy. He's always been Boyce as long as I've known him. So thank you for that. How do I turn that off? Okay. Witnessing the pain. That's a challenge. So whenever you're in a position where somebody is really opening up to you, you have to keep it confidential. Thank you, Irma. Men sometimes are too closed and everything is confidential. Yeah, because they don't want to be hurt. Just look, Irma, you got to look at men sometimes where it's either the hurt child that's talking or the developed adult that's talking. And when they feel like they need to keep everything confidential and they don't feel like they can open up, that's hurt child, and you just have to understand that. And I think if you can have a conversation about it, if you can say, what can I do to make you feel more comfortable with me? What happened to you that makes you feel like you can't open up? They're going to have a story. So try to get from them, what's going on, and you be open. Sometimes you can model for a lot of men. If you feel safe enough, now you don't want to share everything, but if you feel safe enough, you can honestly say, hey, let me share something with you. And you can model for them how to open up and how to be vulnerable, because men can't be vulnerable and they shouldn't be, right? But with people that they trust and people that they feel safe with, they need to open up to them. So it's a very tricky thing. Thank you, Irma. That comment is really spot on today. Okay, one caution. Do not try this. Yeah, bringing up the pain. Just make sure it's something that you feel comfortable bringing up. Okay, last two ones. You got to locate the pearl. I love this analogy. The author comes up with this analogy about the pearl. He's saying, consider the commentary on the pearl as a metaphor for pain and its potential to be changed into something beautiful, like a pearl, right? Because pearls are mysterious. Anyway. Then this poem, then write a poem. He wants you to write a poem. Oh my goodness, this author wants you to write a poem about the pearl, exploring your memories of pearls and how they figure in your life, or answer these questions that he supplied. So let me give you the scenario about the pearl. Okay. In reaction to an irritation caused by a parasite or a grain of sand, the self-healing power of the oyster covers it with layers of aragonite. I don't know how to pronounce that. But the pearl covers it. After several years, not the pearl, the oyster. Okay, let me start from the beginning. In reaction to an irritation caused by a parasite or a grain of sand, so something's irritated this oyster, got in, he covers it up. The oyster, self-healing power of the oyster covers it with layers of this material. After several years, the pearl is created, composed of the same materials as the inner shell of the oyster. A pearl thus achieves its beauty and value from deep within its own protective shell. Y'all know where they're going with this scenario, right? The unique luster of the pearl depends on the refraction of light from their translucent layering. The iridescence that some pearls emit is caused by the overlapping of successive layers that disperse the light as it hits them. The pearl science is amazing, right? Unlike any other gems, pearls are not cut or polished. Pearls is the only gem that's not cut or polished. Y'all see how shiny pearls are? I don't have pearls today. Usually I wear pearls. It is not cut or polished, but they're very translucent, right? They can easily decay, and their softness makes them very vulnerable to acid and heat. Pearls like to be worn against human skin, which is the best way to maintain their luster. So pearls have to be worn to maintain their luster. Okay, there's some science about pearls. There are many layers of metaphor in this description. Journal. Pull your journals out. Journal your responses to these questions. What is the grit in you? The grit, that little grain of sand that gets into the oyster. What is your grain of sand? What is your grit that awaits attention or has already been covered up? Do you trust your inner resources to provide the layering that will transform grit into pearls? Yes, Ronald. That's why women love pearls. You're right. That's why women love pearls. Yes, Ronald. So when you hey, that's romance right there, Ronald. You got to give your significant other a pearl and tell the story about the pearl. They'll be all excited about that. Notice the phrase is self-healing power from deep within its own protective shell. Their softness makes them vulnerable against human skin to maintain their luster. How will they work for you? What is it that you're going to have in yourself to help you gain your luster? And I do think, I don't think I know, and all therapists know this, that everybody already has what it takes to turn that grain of sand into a pearl. And it's funny because that's the whole purpose of therapy is to help you find that grain of sand that's initially an irritant. It's a pain that you don't have to suffer from, but what you can do is turn it into a pearl. And that's on the other side of therapy: self-acceptance, self-love, understanding, going through your life, being calm, being relaxed, never feeling pain, never suffering, feeling pain, but never suffering from the pain, right? That's the whole point of therapy, being in connection with how you felt in that moment when that painful thing happened to you and connecting with that. Yes, the inner beauty. There's beauty in pain. There's strength in pain, right? And you know what the biggest thing that pain gives you? There's a birthing process. Anybody ever have a baby? I've had 3 babies. It's a birthing process, right? There's something beautiful that comes out of something painful. Let me tell you, birthing is very painful. So, but yeah, the inner, unearthing the inner beauty, I think that is spot. All right, so how y'all doing? How y'all doing, everybody? Yes, there's joy. As soon as you have a baby, the all of the chemicals, the love chemicals run through your body and you're just joyous. And sometimes, why would I have 3 children? Well, because I got amnesia and I forgot how painful it was. The joy took over. And then I have another baby and I'm like, yeah, now I remember this was painful. But anyway. Lastly, we're going to finish up chapter 2 and then we're going to go on next week. We're going to figure out how to find a partner. Y'all got to tune in to that. Rhonda said, "Is heaven to give birth?" Girl. Oh my God. Yeah, I guess that's heaven. I could look back on it and say it's heaven, but in the moment, I just remember thinking this feels painful. Okay. Especially natural childbirth, which I had natural childbirth. It was hard. Okay. The last thing that David Richaud, we're talking about for people just joining, how to be an adult in relationships, the 5 keys to mindful loving. We are going over the practices. Get your journals out. He wants you to write about this. The last thing he talks about in chapter 2 is how to grieve the past. Y'all ready for that? Turn to the appendix and read the introductory section. Okay, so he wants you to go to the back of the book. He wants you to read the introduction. When you feel ready, begin the steps of grieving for childhood losses and abuses. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree to this strategy. I use this strategy a lot when it comes to people who consider a relationship as failed, people who end a relationship. I always say, you got to grieve that relationship because you put your hopes and dreams into this relationship that it will last forever, and it didn't last forever. So sometimes you need to grieve the idea of a perfect relationship that you didn't get. I also think that all of us need to grieve all of the things that we didn't get as a child, because you can't reverse time and go back and change things a lot of times. So it is important to grieve childhood losses, childhood abuses. Continue with the steps according to your own timing as you read this book. Perhaps working on one step with each of the following chapters. You may also opt to begin the steps after reading this entire book. Respecting your own timing is an essential element of success in any practice and in any relationship. And with that, we are done with chapter 2. Y'all, we're going to tune in next week. Oh, let me talk about what I need to talk about. I'd like for you all to go to, I can't even find it. Let me see if I can find. Y'all, I'm not the best YouTuber, but, text love to 87948. I think you get text messages on whether when I go live. I don't know what time on a Sunday I go live, but sometimes it's around about this time of the day. It all depends on what I got going on with my private practice. But y'all want to text love to 87948 so that you can find out when next week I'm going to be talking about how to find a partner. So I'm excited about talking about that because that's always something we like to analyze and try to figure out. But I thank you all for joining me today. Follow me on Instagram, Coaching with Dr. Alicia. If you need to get a hold of me, if you want to reach out to me, I will email you back, either myself or my assistant. You can find me at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Let me say goodbye to everyone. Thank you, Ronald, Kevin, Dr. Vibe. Love you so much. Rhonda, McClure. I will see y'all next week. Okay. Bye-bye.